We chose stainless steel barrels because they're matched. We want you to get the best dispersion, the best accuracy possible from beginning to end. And here's our guarantee. You wear one out, you send it back, I just give you a new barrel, install it and send it back to you. So you have 3 barrels forever. So I challenge you to shoot one, wear one out. Yeah, this is what I love. This is the same on every post.
Of course, you and Rodney can build a honey badger for $400. Just as good.
Tux can.
Yeah.
Which is good low blowback.
Yeah.
It's loud. It's small. It's stout, and this is what we're headed toward as an answer to that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
yeah, look at that little
that's
guy. Yeah.
quieter than that.
Yeah.
Lighter than that. Less or equal. We'll do at equal blowback reduction.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple different ways you can get there, but
I think so.
Yeah, and you know the cool thing about rifle bullets and subsonic, they never slow down. Mm-hmm. And so it pretty much looks like this if you shoot it at 10 yards or 350 yards.
Well, yeah, Just Cause just posted a video of the 350 makers, and he was shooting gel at 230 yards, and it looks just like that, and has 16 inches of penetration. So it's like...
That's how you kill anything in the world.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back everybody to Classic Firearms. My name is Charlie and I'm showing up to the chocolate factory and I am super excited to be here right now. Are you?
I'm still Jason, but yes, yeah, still here. We're here at Q.
We are here at Q in New Hampshire. I think Kevin's waiting for us inside there. We're really excited to do a factory tour here, manufacturer tour of Q, and see the genius that is the honey badger, that is the fix, the mini fix, the sugar weasel, the boombox, all of that right under this roof right here.
Everything inside this building is pretty much primo. So I'm excited just to take a look at it, take a stab at it. Let's talk, let's see what really goes on and make it happen.
Absolutely. Now keep in mind, this is an active warehouse, active manufacturer, so it might be a little loud. We'll do what we can with the audio here, so stay tuned for that or stay prepared for that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and make entry and check this out.
Yeah, so like I said, this is our factory, which I don't know if there's a better word for it. It's where production happens. And what I'm trying to do is have a building where this is the focus. Production is the focus. It's QC, it's shipping, receiving, quality control, RMAs, production of rifles, silencers, sub-assemblies, accessories, and all that is here. And you know, it was kind of a clash of cultures to me when we have marketing and they can drink beer and work and have taps up here, and then the guys in the factory are like jealous and assholes.
Right.
But now it's really great because they're very happy because they're the most important people here and they're the focus. They don't have to walk by to go to lunch. The guys drinking beer at their desk.
Right.
So that's cool. So the range is out that door. We have quality control, RMAs. Let's start over at silencer production. That might be the easiest. So all these whitetail were shot by me and my children, and the mule deer, and also everything on that wall.
Hell yeah, that's a lot of meat.
Oh,
Look at that.
wow.
Kevin, we're getting distracted.
I'm trying. Yeah, my best not to.
Oh, look at this. That is art.
Wow.
Yeah. I love this.
So yeah, this is an after production before they're sent out for PVD or nitriding, or maybe before EDM, they spin them again. So it's an in-process quality control. I think the silencers are spun like 5 times before they're shipped.
Okay.
So, wow. Here's just to measure the run out. How are you doing?
Good.
How's welding going?
Not bad.
Yeah, so we've gone to laser welding. The welds are 3 seconds a piece. They're perfect and wonderful. But less heat in the part, you get less warpage. It's more consistent. Everything about it's good. So this is a pork chop, a stainless can, which you can tell weighs nothing still. Deep draw stamping process, a machined end cap, machined rear mount. That's all stainless steel, it's not even EDM yet.
Wow.
So it'll get a work order, stack all the baffles up, or someone will, and snap everything together, put it in the welder, 3 seconds of weld, bring them out, spin them. If they're not straight, they get through a straightening process. So we have a tolerance range. Like anytime you start welding, you're gonna have some run out. Like, you know, this one's 4,000, so this one is as straight as you can fucking make it and measure. This one he's got 35, probably within 20. So he'll put this one back together. So most of the run out now isn't because of the welding, it'll be because parts.
Yeah.
The rear mount is likely one of the machine parts is causing. Yeah, can I see that one of those silencers? So then every, whatever, 1 out of 500 or whatever they're doing at the moment, they'll pull a silencer from production and then cut a slice out, and then we will cut apart and inspect the weld to make sure we're getting penetration. You know, we don't have a weld that looks good, that's not giving us penetration, that will fail with the end user.
Right.
Which, you know, I mean, it happens. You know, and this might have been one, this might have been a repair. They might have just cut this apart. I don't know, because I just pulled it off the bench. But it's a used silencer they've cut apart, sectioned it. I don't see where there was any end cap hit. But, and we'll measure the welds and check periodically if something happens. So that might be an RMA to where we're cutting it off and putting a new one on it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, these ports, is that what we're talking about, like your
Captured flow through. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So that's part of it. They'll get the parts, the individual components get QC'd, they're brought here, they wash them here, they segregate them for what the different components are, and they'll pull them for production, line them up here, snap them all together, and they'll go to welding. And I don't know how many silencers we can weld a day, but it's, you know, we do a few hundred silencers a day probably. So that's the beginning of the process. So then they're measured. And so, you know, we start with a bore in the silencer that is smaller than it will end. Like this is one, this hasn't been EDM'd yet.
Right.
So there's probably a 200,000th hole through the silencer. It needs to end up at 350 or 380.
Right.
So they'll go through that process. This is pistol silencer assembly or rimfire assembly.
Okay.
Just here, so it's not running. Something just finished or is about to. Oh, it's finished already. So we have it's a wire EDM machine, so electrode discharge machining. It's the slowest but most accurate way you can machine anything. A great thing about it is you don't have tools that flex, and you don't end up with burrs. So if this hole is undersized, we weld the silencer together, you get some warpage, you want to hold it straight through. It's aligned with your bore. The way that happens, well, the old OpSync silencers, if you guys have heard of those.
Yes.
So what they would do is run a drill through them. Well, the problem with a long drill is it flexes. So you'll still end up with a crooked hole, it'll just be bigger. And you end up with these burrs inside the silencer you can't get out. Because Ron Allen from
Allen Engineering.
but it used to be OpSync at the time.
Yes.
Like he told me he used to take those, shake them, hold up the light, and use forceps for like surgeries, put up in the silencer and try to pull them all out.
Oh, wow.
And I took my OpSync silencers and I x-rayed them all. And there's burrs and all of them. The problem is it's like that falls in the bore at some point and you end up deflecting the bullet, getting end cap strikes.
I wonder who's currently having a problem with that right now.
Every OpSync can I've ever had has it.
And CAT and
Yeah.
CGS
is
right
one.
now.
Well, CGS should hire a real engineer. You know, 3D printed silencer, there's no reason to have that. That's bullshit mounts or bullshit design or trying to run the bore too small to make the silencer quiet. All these fucking tricks. Like look at the original Surefire can. Like over the life of Surefire silencers, the same model silencer, the bore's been opened up probably 3 or 4 times. So it's probably 50% bigger than when they started. But you know, opening that bore up gives you less, you know, like what's the advantage of flow through, like the blowback or sound at the ejection port, but it gives you more sound there. So, but you know, the problem with the Surefire, you know, they for a 5.56 can they used to run a 265 bore, which is incredible because it's like a 223 bullet. Right. So if you have any misalignment at all, which their mounting system does not really aid in alignment. No. You know, it's only, if you look at a Surefire silencer, when you twist that collar, it's only holding on to one part. So if you ever see an end cap contact with a Surefire silencer, 99% of the time it is exactly opposite where the silencer locks up with that latch on the back, because the silencer in high-speed video is doing this.
It's wobbling.
Yeah, so it's a dumb mount. Like I like Surefire cans. Their mount's stupid. But this we do. So EDM machine, we have this plate. We do these precision ground mounts that are as accurate as you can make it in relation to the bores. So we mount the silencers on there. This tank fills up with water. A brass wire feeds through the can, and then we run electricity through it that vaporizes the material in a straight line. So here, like we can program it to be a tapered bore to where, which is smart if you want the best sound possible. So if you're on a bolt gun, that's a great idea, because the baffle that's closest to the muzzle doesn't need to be have a biggest aperture as the one that's farthest away. Right. Because there's always going to be some tolerance. Right. But if you're running a gas gun, if you're in a really tight bore at the muzzle, you're going to get a lot of gas out of the ejection port. So, depends on what you want to do. We can program it however we want. All these are run with just a straight bore, which is the correct diameter, and we're real generous. So we're not trying to soak every dB out of this. Okay. We don't want the customer to have an end cap strike or baffle contact. So we do the best thing we can, you know, that we feel offers the least amount of back pressure, but also gives you the least chance of hitting your end cap.
So it keeps them nominal all the way through.
Right. Yeah, and so it does this, but it vaporizes the material with electricity, and so all that is actually the dark you see is material. Right. So there's no burrs in there to get, you know, the way of the bore. Right. And so once we pull these out, we measure them, make sure it's correct. We spin them again to make, and we spin in relation to the outside and the bore to make sure it falls within our tolerance range to give you the best alignment possible with the bore you're rifle.
So with every step, you kind of have double step QC process even before it goes to the next one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because we don't want to get to this point or send it out for finish and then have to reject the silencer. Right. So, you know, look, it all sucks. But, you know, into the price of stuff, there's some built-in, we're going to mess up, there's going to be some rejection. But our goal is realistically, we do all this so in hopes of the end user having the best possible experience they can have. Right. But this is expensive. It's a $250,000 machine. And, you know, it takes probably 15 minutes to do each one of these once we mount them in here. And somebody's being lazy right now or on break and not, because we're probably, I don't know, thousands of silencers behind. So this thing needs to be running nonstop. Wow. But that's the last thing before it goes out for bead blast and coating. And knowing these are stainless steel silencers, the Pork Chop series. We knew 8.6 was always a military program. Yep. Titanium's great, but you get some sparking and flashing with it. And so we knew we were going to have to use stainless steel or a nickel alloy to avoid that. So we went with stainless steel. And this is 17.7, which is a material that's as close to 17.4 stainless as possible, but can be stamped. And so these are stamped baffles, and it helps us with weight and keeping the cost down, and also production, like the volume that we do. But then what we do is we send these out for nitride. Nitride does two things. It makes the finish black, and it won't burn off, and it heat treats the silencer. Otherwise, we have to heat treat the silencers and then Cerakote. And so this is what we're doing right now. It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that's one of our 8.6 cans. I mean, a lot goes into it.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, and that's the difference, like buying from us or some, you know, whoever it is, like name a small silencer company. And it's fine, like the small ones are good at certain things, but this is just next level. There's only a few companies that do stuff this way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So this is all, well, through here, this is all sub-assembly.
Okay.
So
Small components.
they'll sit here. I don't, must be close to the end of the day or spray. So yeah.
Oh, greatest trigger
So
ever made.
yeah, literally the greatest trigger ever made. So our AR trigger, so assembly happens over here after the parts are QC'd. But not just that. Stock assemblies for the fix.
Yep.
Any sub-assembly you can think of. You know, like right now they're working on pistol braces. Here's a bucket. Well, they were fixing. So they're going to put gas blocks and gas tubes together. Yeah, assemble stocks, whatever they're doing. Our laser marker, where we put, you know, mark the shrouds on the fix bolt, or we engrave the silencer mounts or whatever. Sub-assembly stuff. You know, this is one cool thing about Q. So they're not even kept here anymore, so these are actually the old ones. They have some more cabinets now. But the first few years of Q, the engineers designed everything, QC'd all the parts, built all the guns, and shot them all for accuracy. For the first 3 years, every fix was shot for accuracy. 5 shots off a bench, 100 meters, had to be under an inch or didn't ship with a human being shooting. 5 shots, not a 3-shot group. 3 shots bullshit. 5 shot is where the difference happens. And so what that did was we wanted to be able to turn over to higher assembly personnel and turn the rifles assembly over to them. And we want it to be as seamless as possible and for the assembly personnel to do the best job with the gun. So what we realized are the engineers are very lazy, and they will design fixtures and make them to make it easy for them to consistently put components together. The fixed rifle, for instance, there's a lot of stuff in that bolt assembly that is very complex and can be difficult to assemble, and that's how we get 45-degree bolt throw. So that's what all this is. You know, they do all these things to where everything can be as consistent as possible. And they build all this stuff, and most of the stuff that's in production now is either there in some other cabinets. But this is what I wanted, and this is how, you know, anybody here can build a gun as good as the engineers who designed the gun can build. And that's a big part of it. You know, designing fixtures, designing testing apparatus. More of that. This is our old original QERT.
Oh, to punch it in.
To punch it in.
Yeah.
Because you put them on here, put a handguard on. So you can do a handguard assembly. Put all these stainless steel pieces in 4 minutes. The original 4 that we took to SHOT Show 2017 took 4 hours a piece to put in. The reason no one does QERT is because it is difficult and it's expensive. So now we're having, well, if you guys had come in 2 weeks from now, we have 2 automated machines that are going to be doing this, one with a robot arm, you know, $250,000 machines. The engineers designed and built this in a week to do the handguards, and it's worked so well we continue to use it, but we're automating it now because production's just gotten too big. And so then we also designed a small press like this that's inexpensive, so if other manufacturers want to adopt QERT now as we're doing an AR handguard and all, we have a solution for them to be able to install them easily. And so, you know, and QERT is our own mounting system. You know, M-LOK, that's great. It looks like this, but you know, you do it blind and you have a separate part under it. You never really know if it's hooked. It doesn't retain zero. This, you put whatever accessory on, the locking lug goes in this hole. There's 2 T25 screws from the outside you torque into place. You don't do anything blind, there's less parts. Every one of these has 900 pounds of pull because you're putting it into stainless steel. And so this allows us to have a QERT handguard that is 2 ounces lighter than an M-LOK handguard, even having 36 pieces of stainless steel, because we can go thinner, because M-LOK was really done for plastic.
Yeah.
So you can mold it in plastic. So it's inexpensive. So this, we can remove more material and it can be thinner and we're stiffer and lighter, and there's 36 stainless steel pieces in this to where you torque it
2
on.
times that are
Yeah.
4.5 times tighter, or can take the top. Wow.
It's stronger. So, you know, and to the average guy, it probably doesn't matter. But you know, the Navy, when they're running lasers on their forends and they bump into a doorway and they're M-lock, now their aiming module like loses 0. It doesn't with this in this test, and that's the real reason we're doing the AR handguards, which will be available to everyone. And also stiffness. So we're doing our AR handguard that we're releasing. So Geisley is a great handguard. The Sons of Liberty handguard is a great handguard. They're very rigid, they're very stiff. All right, we're more rigid than both, and we return to 0 8 times better than both, and we're half the weight.
Love that.
And you know, Mike at Sons of Liberty, I love him. Bill Geisley, don't give a fuck about him, but he makes great products. But it ain't a team of 6 engineers that have unlimited resources to make the best handguard. And so we had to actually develop the process for how you measure deflection in a handguard. So we developed that process, and now part of SOCOM's adopted that process, and that's how they measure handguards. Because, you know, I can tell you, oh, this is strong and it's stiff. Of course it's strong, feel how heavy it is. The goal is to make the lightest weight thing possible that accomplishes it. And so I can talk all the shit I want, but we have to be able to back it up.
Right.
And so that's when we develop the process, and we'll do it. It's transparent. You can see the deflection of the handguard. We can do all of them. And, you know, like, what's the thing that matters with a handguard? You know, okay, it protects my hand, but then weight is important, but it needs to be rigid and stiff. So if you have an inline night vision device, that it's inline. If you're loading a bipod, it doesn't deflect. They're all going to deflect some, but does it return to 0? And what we found is they don't until now. So,
That just makes me sick.
you know, and there's things like these are ass ends for our 2-piece bullet carrier, and this is a good example. Like, so that's got, when I was talking to you guys about, shake that, it's got granulated tungsten in it. So just like the MP5 bolt carrier. So these are for either the boombox or likely the honey badger in 5.56. Because the bolt velocity is so high, you can get bolt bounce that matters with those. Like, you get bolt bounce when they're in blackout, but the bolt velocity is so low, it doesn't matter. The guns are still reliable full auto.
Right.
So we'll switch over to this operating system eventually for everything. So it's the rear of the carrier, and a full-size spring goes over this. So that's the buffer. It's just integrated into the carrier. And so rather than having aluminum or tungsten or steel pieces that are separate in there, like 4 wafers, it's all granulated tungsten because it's more effective. So we can have it smaller and get the same weight, and it still gives you the same anti-bolt bounce characteristics. But this is very expensive. Granulated tungsten is very fucking expensive. There's $11 of tungsten in each one of those, like my car. So those little steel wafers that are an M4 buffer, those cost 5 cents a piece. So it's 17.4 stainless steel, heat treated. We use it because it's very durable, very strong, and it doesn't move in heat treat, so it'll retain its tolerances even in the heat treat process. And we can do the heat treat in 1 hour in the oven dry. So here's more of the ass ends, and you know, this is cool. You know, one thing that we saw, here's some that are assembled. So this doesn't have that, so this goes in the sugar weasel probably. So we did our own carrier. Here's the thing, if you do it all in one piece, the whole thing has to meet tolerance. If we do it in 2 pieces, okay, it's 2 pieces, so there's a weak point there, yeah, maybe. But we can control these tolerances, which are vital.
Right.
These are. Back here it doesn't really mean shit.
Right.
But when you do the whole part and you heat treat it, up here, this can get out of spec. So this does, we nitride it because it receives all the wear. But a problem that I've seen is like staking the key properly. Now, the number one thing is torque the screws properly, which no one does, but we do, and you'll see there'll be a torque wrench here somewhere. I run my mouth and I don't see it, but they'll torque them into place. But staking consistently, everyone does it by hand. So we developed this machine and make it, and basically you do this front half, you torque the screws in place on the key, and you drop it down into here, and it stops correctly, and it perfectly stakes all 4 of those consistently. So you pull any of them out of this box and look at them. They are properly staked, because how you know is it has to deform the screw head.
Right.
If it's not deforming that, you have not fucking staked it.
Yep.
What you did is just aesthetic. It doesn't mean shit.
You put an indentation on it, not a
So it'll still unscrew. So these Like you torque these into place, you don't even have to use Loctite, which we do, but you don't have to, and those things will never come loose. But this gives us the ability doing modular. We can hold this to a tighter tolerance, so the cam path and things like that are vital. The back doesn't matter as much, but it gives us modularity in the back. We can do for the sugar weasel, the honey badger's a little shorter. The 5.56 honey badger has an integrated buffer, and so does the boom box. So we just have, and if we want to do aluminum rear end, if we want the carrier very light because we're running a light spring and it's a competition gun or whatever the thing is, you can do that. You know, if Stoner were alive today and designing the M4, he has more materials and more processes available to him. He would not do the carrier the way he did it, where you have to hard chrome it and hone it and grind it and do all this stuff. All those outside processes are bullshit. We can make it out of 17.4, make the bolt itself out of C350, it's incredibly strong. Make the carrier, the front half, out of 17.4, nitride it so it resists all the wear and corrosion. And you've got a better product where you have more throughput and less rejection, and you don't have all these, like hard chrome, like it's hard to apply hard chrome consistently. And so, you know, like one side's thicker than the other. Like it's great for a lot of things, but it's very difficult. And there's few places that can do it now because of EPA and shit like that.
Wow. I wasn't kidding when I was saying on our Monday night live stream, join us to talk about I'm considering, especially after seeing all this, most innovative manufacturer. I mean, because what you're talking about, and that's something that I think you and I have had discussions about, is like ultimately firearms technology has stayed roughly the same for decades and decades and decades. And then you walk into a facility like this and you're like, well, I have a team of engineers to say, let's do something a little bit differently and perhaps even better. And that's exactly what we're seeing just in this.
I would say we don't do anything for the sake of being different.
Right.
We do everything for the sake of being better.
Right. Yeah.
Better. And that's not saying we're smarter than Browning or Stoner. You know, we were born 70 years later. So we have the advantage of additive manufacturing, different processes, coatings, materials, alloys, like all these things they didn't have. And so, like, I mean, I'm not gonna bullshit, we build ARs, all right? And the honey badger, it's an AR, sure. There's very few parts that are actual AR parts, but we didn't invent a new gun. With the fix, we invented a new gun. But, you know, Stoner did a great job. Like, that gun should still continue until somebody does something better. You think every major firearms company in the world has tried to replace it, and they can't. That's how far ahead Stoner was. But if he were alive today, he would do certain things differently.
Sure.
And so we're trying to take advantage of that stuff. And it's not like this. I can buy a quote-unquote mil-spec carrier, which most of them are not. It's bullshit. For whatever, a whole bolt and carrier for $100 probably. This probably cost me $200 because it's much smaller volume, it's different materials, different coatings, different processes, and we're small volume. I mean, we're small. This is a better product. We don't reject any now because of the carrier for function once we test fire. We probably rejected 10% before this when we're buying carriers from other people. And so I know you're getting a better product with this. So can I sell you a gun at $1,000? No. But you're not getting a $1,000 gun.
Right.
And for you, a $1,000 gun might be okay. But if you want the absolute best thing, this is what you do. There's a reason the HK416 does not use a standard carrier.
Right.
Because they suck.
Right. Well,
there's a reason an HK416 is not $1,000.
right.
So
I'm gonna be picking up one of those BCGs just to take home and start a new build with. Why not?
but you know, cousin Rodney will tell you it's no different.
Right.
Just as
good.
Yeah, some more sugar weasels.
wow.
So it looks like they're assembling. What are you guys assembling? Sugar weasels or honey badgers? Sugar weasels. So do assembly here. Amy is in charge of rifle assembly.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Literally watching a sugar weasel be born.
Yeah.
cool is that?
I never get sick of seeing them either.
No.
You know, and you see the components, you know, same thing here. So we have the smallest, lightest gas block on the market, and it's not even titanium. 17-core stainless, adjustable. We don't use that screw, but we build one gas block so people buy as an accessory, and it's not going on here, because on all of our barrels we thread it. We have a jam nut that holds it in place, because that seals better than just pinning it in place, so you get less gas leakage, so the weapon, it's more consistent in the function.
Right.
That's what it provides.
See, that's just something too that a lot of people I don't think of really, and that just makes so much sense.
A lot of people say, well, mil spec is you pin it. Yeah, it doesn't make it the best thing.
No.
There's a reason HK, Knights, Barrett, like high-end companies all end up doing this. And it's not because it's easier and cheaper.
Right.
You know, and you know what makes this cool too, if you ever want to change the barrel, because, you know, a lot of people, and probably, I don't know, your viewers seem to be a little more educated, but like somebody else might do a review and be, oh, it's not premium because it doesn't have a cold hammer forged barrel. Well, tell me what cold hammer forge gives you.
Well, LMT even adopted that process where it's not even like an immediate process, but they let it take its time, something like that. I don't know what LMT did, but it's not so much cold hammer forging. But explain away what you got here.
Cold hammer forging, why it's good is for big volume.
Right.
So it's better for me than it is for you. The only thing that gives you durability in a barrel would be hard chrome.
Right.
Okay, so when you install hard chrome, yeah, your barrel's gonna last longer, but your barrel now, what's the import requirement for accuracy at 100 meters? It's 4 MOA.
Right.
So put that in perspective. We chose stainless steel barrels because they're matched. We want you to get the best dispersion, the best accuracy possible from beginning to end. And here's our guarantee. You wear one out, you send it back, I just give you a new barrel, install it and send it back to you. So you have 3 barrels forever. So I challenge you to shoot one, wear one out. Our Honey Badger 5.56 testing, we shot 2 rounds a second for 10,000 rounds. And nobody's gonna do that. But okay, so at the end, we only had 3 inches of rifling left. Camera guy, you smart. You know what? The group when we started was sub MOA.
Okay.
It's under 1 inch at 100. You know what it was after 2 rounds a second for 10,000 rounds with 3 inches of rifle, 3 or 4.
3 MOA.
It was still under 4 MOA.
I was gonna say 5.
Yeah.
So I can give you a hard
MOA.
chrome hammer forged barrel and it shoot 4 MOA, or do you want an accurate gun? And if you shoot, but at a reasonable firing schedule, that barrel would last 20,000 rounds.
Right.
So how many of you, like internet nerds, that go and post some bullshit about cold hammer forging shoot 20,000 rounds?
Honestly.
If you do, it's great. Send me your gun. I'll put a new barrel in it. You get a new matched stainless barrel for free. And so you don't have the sacrifice of not getting the best accuracy possible. Because hard chroming, you can hard chrome a barrel and maybe it shoots as good as it did before we hard chromed it.
Yeah.
You can never hard chrome a barrel and it be better. It's always just as good, which would be very rare, or much worse. Because a lot of those barrels, cold hammer forging I actually love, but it's only if the mandrel for hammer forging, you do it with a chamber in. 99% of the companies in America, for whatever fucking reason, do just the bore and they cut the chambers. A big thing with the accuracy with rifles is the chamber being concentric with the bore of the rifle.
Right.
So one great thing about hammer forging, which I think is better than cut rifling or button rifling, is you can do the chamber in, but hardly anybody does it. And you know, the tool's more expensive, you're more limited on your barrels, because now like whoever, Down Defense, whoever, can do all these barrels, whatever length they want. They use the same mandrel and then they cut the chamber. Yeah, don't get a barrel chambered on a Friday, bro. But if you chrome the barrels, like, it's cool. You've got corrosive ammo or something, but none of us are shooting corrosive ammo. But you're losing accuracy for the peace of mind that if you eventually shoot a lot and you have $100,000 worth of ammo and you shoot it in 2 weekends, your barrel's still going to be okay accuracy-wise. People just aren't honest about what they're doing.
That resonates.
Off camera, what do you think about Criterion?
They make good barrels.
Because they have like, I was wondering, because they say they have like a specialized version of hard chroming their inside of the barrel so that it doesn't lose accuracy as much?
Well, I tell you what Stoner did was the Stoner 63 has a nitrided barrel.
Yeah.
So the barrel's very hard, it'll last a long time. It was a difficult process back then, but what you don't do is add all the hard chroming to the surface that you can't hold a tolerance on. So the hard chroming will be way thicker on one side than the other. And that's where you're losing dispersion and stuff. And you know, is hard chroming a good process? It's a fucking awesome process, but tell me the application.
Right.
Okay, you're putting in the bore something, tell me how you measure that or keep it consistent.
Yeah.
It's not repeatable.
You can't, no, it's not. And you get some that are good and some aren't. But it's also like why we don't coat our muzzle devices, because we can even black oxide, but I don't know what an engineer would say, but it's basically a natural lubricity where the things are more likely to come unscrewed. But then also if we PVD them, which we used to do, you can't control PVD thickness from one side to the other, just like you can't chrome. So if you get way more on one side, then your taper isn't working and the silencers come loose. That's why we don't coat these. It's not to make them look pretty.
Right.
It's not because it's expensive, because it's not. To nitride these is like 22 cents a piece. But you get a lesser product, because what you need in this, you don't want corrosion, which you're not going to get. These are 17.4, but you want the silencer to stay on and tight.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why we do that. You know, it's like CGS or whoever else copies our mount, which that's cool. Do it. Don't coat them. Don't. It's going to come unscrewed more likely than it is when you leave it in its raw form. And we didn't know that. We learned that over 100,000 hours of experience. Oh, this machine, who's doing that?
Oh, he's starting it up.
All right, so he's got an, so this is called a clickety-clack machine.
Clickety-clack.
Yeah, so our engineers, so you look here, so the engineers designed, built, programmed this. Like this is an outside, all this stuff our engineers do in-house. And then they built this box because they were complaining about it being loud. But what it is so the, well, I'll let it go. But the bolt, so the fixed rifle, so every bolt assembly, when we get it together, we put in here, and one of the wire EDMs over here that we're looking at cuts the sear surface and the striker head surface. So it's precision as possible so we can get the most consistent trigger. Okay, so even when you EDM, you get a little recast on the edges, microscopic. What that means to you is when you get your fix, if we don't dry fire it and cycle it 100, 200 times, what happens is when you get it, your trigger's heavier than it's going to be after that first 100 or 200 cycles. Because that microscopic recast, that little burr, essentially, it gets rid of that. So the trigger might be 4 pounds when we build your gun. All right, you dry cycle it or shoot it 100 times. It's 2.5 pounds. It's where it'll stay for 100,000 cycles. So this is what we do here. And so that bothered them too much, the sound. So we built a little box. But that's what it does. So it's cocking the gun and it's dry firing it.
See that here.
And so every bolt assembly has that done to it. Wow. And so then once you do that, you take it out, you put it in the gun. Well, you don't actually put it in the gun yet. What you'll do is you'll come over here. Oh, so because you know the fix, what's cool about it, it's the first bolt gun to where the sear is in the bolt body with the striker, where generally they're in the trigger pack. So you have a tolerance stacking. So we're able to have those two parts in the same machine component so we can hold that tolerance very tight so we can make a light drop safe trigger, because we can control those tolerances. Where if you're pinning a trigger pack on the bottom of a 700, your tolerance stack is so high. If you got a light trigger, 99.9% of the time it's not drop safe. You drop it, it's gonna fire.
Wow.
And that was a big thing because we knew this would be a military gun eventually.
Yeah.
And that's a requirement for US and NATO.
Yep.
So, and then so what you'll do is you'll take that bolt out, you'll stick it in this machine, which goes to here. It's called a Taborak, so we're pretty messy. But everyone gets put in here. We run a program and it slowly fires the trigger and it grafts the trigger pull. And so we'll see there's no creep. And if there is, it means it's a Remington trigger or somebody else's. Or if we see anything in there that tells us that there's a kink in the spring, or there's something wrong. And then it measures the trigger pull, and it does it 3 times in a row. And so the graph overlays, and if there's any abnormality, it's taken apart and inspected, springs, everything are replaced, and let's try it again. So we graph every trigger so we know the exact trigger pull, and 3 times to know that everything is perfect.
You know who could have used this? FN. And their burst fire SCAR 20.
It's hard when you're a big company. Things slip through. So what else do we have over here? Yeah, so those are bolts ready to go. Can we see your shirt? You can just stand there for a
Just
second.
wanted to love that shirt for a second.
Yeah, I got it. Oh yeah.
That's my ATF picture shirt.
That's so good.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so I did that, so can you go ahead.
I'm Clint, by
Thank
the way.
you.
Rory, nice to meet you, man. Rory's a classic firearm.
Rory's in charge of all the RVs and all the testing stuff.
Oh,
and all.
cool, okay.
Rory, like a lot of guys here, we all work together at SIG.
Yeah.
Rory's in special weapons doing testing, so we're doing the MCX and all that stuff. So
That's awesome. So where'd you get the shirt?
that was one of our shirts.
Oh, was it?
That's when they came after us for the Honey Badger brace. We made all these ATF shirts.
All right, you got any more of those laying around?
I haven't seen one in a while. We can probably get you one. So they're kitting to build something. So basically the way we work right now is we get a work order, and guys in the warehouse pull the parts, build kits, and take them to whoever is building the gun.
Okay.
So they're building a mini fix, it looks like, and some Honey Badgers. So, you know, generally they'll build 100 guns at a time, but if we have a special order, like this could be for you guys, for instance,
Right.
or whoever, this will get pulled and goes to someone and they build it.
Wow. Wow.
Like once guns get, well, after they assemble, there's a QC inspection. They go to the range. After the range, they get cleaned, QC'd again, inspection for whatever, and they come here to go on the racks, which you'll see, and they get shipped out.
Wow.
Like everything.
Yeah, this looks like classic firearms right here.
Right.
Oh, okay. Cool. So,
Racking in boxes.
yeah, silencers waiting for paperwork.
That does not look like
Receiving.
classic firearms.
Yeah, so those silencers are all waiting for paperwork. Those guns are all waiting for paperwork. Yeah. So
Insert office joke reference.
Yeah.
Don't play with the baler.
Don't play with the baler.
here's some box art I just did.
I was just about to say, I saw something come across.
Yeah. So I hate when people say silence is golden. So
Duct tape facility. That's what's up. That's
I'm good.
non-tapered muzzles. Tapered muzzle's good. Gives you that good alignment. So yeah.
You know what? You know what, right? We gotta send him my cat.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we got them all pictures.
Yeah.
So I draw these at night when I'm just hanging out. And then they just get shipped to
Oh,
whoever.
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find my cat
So
picture.
good.
Yeah, and yeah, this is one I love. This is the same shits on every
Of
post.
course, you and Rodney can build a Honey Badger for $400.
Fucking way.
Just as good.
Yeah, just as good. Yeah, so this is all shipping. We got accessories ready to go out here. Big stacking of guns.
Oh, he's gonna get right here. All right.
Yeah, so guns ready to go out. So this is 100 guns that were built today, or probably yesterday. They're going out today. So these are 300 blackout Sugar Weasel pistols. Now the brace deal's back on. I assume, I don't know what these are. Probably 12-inch 5.56 or 300 blackout pistols. So that's pretty cool. We work with SB Tactical. Have our own special color gray brace nobody else gets. Yeah.
So the age-old question that people always want to know. I know you hate saying when and
Oh,
dates.
boombox. What's he going at? What?
5.56 dedicated can.
Oh. Man, you about to make me hot.
I know. I know.
So we'll see. We go to the other building. So they did, I think, the final testing this past weekend. You know, it's splitting hairs at this point. Here's the thing. If I were smart and loved money more, what I would do is would have brought out a year ago and have a new model this year, kind of the Silencer Co. model. And it's no knock to Silencer Co. Since Josh Waldron, that dirtbag's gone, I like Silencer Co. fine. But that's a good plan. Like get the new iPhone every year. It just, I can't reconcile with it. And so we've spent an extra year doing testing. So we're splitting hairs, getting the best thing for the requirement that I set for us. And they're supposed to have an answer for me this week, and we're going to go into production. So we will see when we go over there. But that's the thing, you know, and for me, what I want is a 3-year life cycle of cans. And we're actually now just hiring, like, I of course have worked on silencers for 30 years. Ethan has worked on silencers for 20 years. Ethan and I do guns now. I'm the only person here with a real passion for silencers. The rest of them want a silencer good enough, which is probably like most people. But I am, of course, fucking obsessed with it. Right. So we can't be competitive. We have to be the best, at least for the requirement that we set, which to me is realistic. Right. So we're doing that, and now we're separating silencers just like we separated the engineers. Silencers are becoming its own division.
Oh, nice.
So this will move from here, and the engineers, we're hiring engineers right now who will be silencer only. And they will do all the silencer stuff for me, and we will be faster at doing this. Because every one of my engineers, you know, every one of my shacks wants to be a Lil Wayne. And I need some shacks that want to play basketball. So we're hiring shacks that will do silencers, and that's their job. And they coming in knowing they're not going to build guns and design guns. But we're going to be the greatest silencer company, which is our inherent right. But we still got to earn it. And that's going to be our focus, and they have to be separate from guns because I can't get any of those little motherfuckers to concentrate on silencers because they all want to be part of the boombox.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, silencers aren't sexy to them because they're stupid. So that's where we are. So that is almost done, actually, the 5560.
All right. I love the motivational one.
Woo! Man, I get hot.
You said that. No, the question was dedicated 5.56 silencer.
And making that dedicated.
And we're doing two. There's two. There's the silencer you should want that is awesome, the one that I'm doing and I want. You know what's funny? When we started testing, based on mill standard and at the year testing, out of an 11-inch 5.56, the M4 2000 is still the best for sound, out of everything. So it's like, we'll start there. It's got to be better than that. We tested everything. You'll see when we go over there, our inventory of silencers. So Ethan did a flow-through silencer that's about half the weight of the OSS 5.56 and about 2/3 the size, and it's quieter at the ear and muzzle. So we're actually doing the lefty and the southpaw silencer. So we're doing the one for all the wannabe flow-through geeks to put on your Scar or whatever you play from Call of Duty. And we're doing the one that if you actually shoot guns and shit, that you should want, where you don't have to wear peltors.
So now instead of splitting it off, now you're creating a
Silencer company separate from here.
separate from here. I know we talked about dedicated stuff, but the 9 mil, going back to the bread and butter of a true SD something from Q, because that's where I see it kind of going.
What does that mean to you?
So what the traditional way of SD means, interval suppressed. I knew it.
So what is it? What's the thing that you actually want?
Ported barrel, shroud over it, so it captures all that gas and sends it out.
Why do you want a ported barrel?
Because that was the grand coup d'etat of what it was. Now I'm pretty
So
sure.
you want us to build a retro. You don't want us to build the most effective thing.
No. I'm pretty sure you're gonna absolutely crush it.
Because this is like when I have conversations with the military, like, you're telling me what to do. Tell me what you want, and
Okay.
you'll be the happiest with it.
Okay.
So
I want quiet, I want reliability.
Yeah, and I wanted to be as
And I want to be fast, accurate.
and lightweight.
yeah, lightweight. Okay. So why not do deep groove rifling rather than porting? I don't even know what deep groove rifling is, you kids.
No, like old tape technology almost, kind of.
So the gases escape through the lens or through the grooves around the bullet rather than porting the barrel.
So it continues its own.
Like, are we trying to keep ammo subsonic, or are you trying to make it as quiet as
I'm
possible?
trying to keep it runs at sub sounds no matter what I throw at.
Well, what about just a short barrel or deep groove rifling? You have a long barrel, like, you know, and like. So these are the things we get into. You know, do you care about gas in your face? Because all you kids let that flow through.
I don't care.
Because the MP5 SD, you shoot
Gas
full auto as gas.
Gassy.
The barrel's ported. That's why.
Right.
Don't port the barrel. Use deep groove rifling. It won't do. You don't need a 7-inch barrel in that gun or a 6-inch barrel. You can have a 4-inch barrel that's not ported and I can get better accuracy. So you want accuracy?
I want accuracy. I want lightweight.
You want the gun not to get as dirty, not as much gas in your face?
I don't care about that.
So these are all the things we have to decide.
But you know what's crazy? Here's the thing. There's no such thing as a pristine gun unless you keep it in a box.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say dirty meaning the gun stops working. Like I can shoot my MP5 1,000 rounds before I need to clean it. My SD 200 rounds, I got to take it apart and wipe it off.
Okay.
They just get dirty and they get unreliable.
Right.
You didn't hear a no. So let's.
And you think people talk shit about direct impingement getting dirty. MP5 SD's blowback. How's it get so dirty? All that shit comes down the bore. When you port the barrel at the chamber, way more shit comes through the bore. So it's like people really haven't done the testing and don't understand how the guns work. I love the MP5 SD. It's the most iconic gun. If I could only, you know, if I'm trapped in an indoor range or a 50-meter range the rest of my life, it might be the gun I want. I don't know. It's nostalgic to me. I love it. The trigger sucks. The gun's heavy. It gets too dirty. Not accurate. But I love it. So, like, because when you say you want the 9mm, is it because ammo's cheap? Because I'd rather have a honey badger.
Right, but sometimes people just go for that PCC carbine, and that is the truth for competition shooters, for just a common average guy. They'll say, "Oh, I want to go outside and shoot my," cry me if I'm wrong, Strybog. God, I feel like
But
heaven just
you are correct though, because like you said, you're more average shooter. They're gonna like 300 blackout. I love it. Too expensive.
Yeah.
right.
Well,
But I want to go
shouldn't be,
shoot.
but-
I want to go mag dump into some trash. I'm gonna do it with my 9mm, not my 300 blackout. You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, 9's cool for that. But it's, again, we'll go back to like the podcast I had with you guys. Like, I'm 50 years old. You know, if a project takes 3 years, how many do I have left? And do I want to devote it to guys who like shooting 9mm right now? Like, I don't know. I really want to create capability that doesn't exist for the recreational shooter, for the consumer, but also for the hunter and for the military. Because if I had my first choice, like, I don't want to get into big army programs because it's political and it's bullshit. It takes too long and I don't like it. This is why I've always worked with the tier 1 groups. Like, I appreciate everyone spending money with me, but if I have one customer that I can support, it's the dude that's going overseas and shooting terrorists and putting his life on the line. If I can give him a capability, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that is the overlap here with guys that are really like law enforcement, federal or local municipalities, home defense, keeping a gun in your truck. If I can give you a capability, meaning lighter weight, smaller, more accurate, easier to shoot, whatever it is, more lethal, I want to do that. Hunters, same way. If it kills a man, it kills a deer, it kills a pig.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of overlap. You know, and I love recreational shooting, and of course that's most of what all of us do, right? Like, I hunt more than the 10 average people put together.
I saw your Instagram. Shit's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it consumes my life, but I also still shoot for pleasure more than anything else.
Right.
So I also appreciate that. I'd love to do a 22. I would love for when I'm old and I bird hunt like rich old white men, that I will have a shotgun that I love.
You're over under
Beretta's doing a really good job. I love Benelli's. The new Beretta's fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
We shot those.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. Beretta's like the coolest fucking company ever to me. I fucking love Beretta.
62 grand.
Well, that was the custom.
The select.
I just mean like their
base?
1301 or whatever their semi-auto
You
is.
love it.
Like, I would love to and maybe we'll do that. I would love to do 22 pistol and rifle because I love shooting 22. I would love to do a handgun. nobody really shoots anyone with a handgun, so I don't care. And the handgun market is very saturated. And if I want to do a better gun than a Glock, it's a lot of work for maybe just a few percent better in some area. Like SIG 320, the grip angle's better, the steel mags are better, everything else. And having the module is I think that's probably better rather than being molded into polymer. But everything else is worse about the gun. The Glock's better. The Glock is easier to shoot, even though the grip angle's fucked. Like the bore axis is lower. Yeah, Glocks don't point. The grip angle's fucked. The 320 points. John Browning was right about the grip angle. Like, just close your eyes, point a gun, and see what you Glock. You're pointing at the fucking sky. And I love Glock. Like I'm talking shit. Like I'm talking shit about the MP5 SD. Like ask me if I'm carrying a pistol, what I carry. It ain't a SIG, because I know they cut corners. I carry a Glock. I don't need your 3 extra rounds. What I want is that motherfucker to work when I gotta shoot somebody.
And that's how I feel. Even though I go on the range and I shoot with my P320, but what do I carry every day? A Glock 17.
I do love my 365 though, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Wow.
365. Now, if the 365 were made by SIG in Switzerland or Germany, it'd be the greatest carry gun ever. But it's made here by Ron Cohen, so I question it. So, I don't know. So it's always these things. I want to do everything, but I probably have whatever 5 or 10 more projects, and I'm going to get picky because, you know, what am I working for now? Like, I'm going to give this company to my employees. I'm working for my legacy. I'm working for stuff that I want, makes me feel good. And I know because we built 3 things for Bin Laden ready to kill his ass. I feel good about that. Like if if old cousin Rodney and Jacob go to the range on the weekend, they have a good time. That's cool. So should we it ain't changing my life.
So should we throw a picture of Bin Laden and like watercolors on the wall up there with the deer? Like,
man, achievement unlocked.
Right, I tell you, I don't even like getting into political stuff, but I do love our soldiers, and especially the guys that are really putting themselves in harm's way. And whether it's 300 Blackout, the Honey Badger 8.6, the 416 SD silencers, the Blackout flash hider, the Titan QD 338 silencer, you name it, anything I've been a part of that we can do to help them be efficient in killing motherfuckers and coming home safe, I got that. Like old Rodney going to the range, it's cool, thanks for your money, but you know, Daniel Defense can do that shit for you.
For a price.
and your soul. Wow.
So what we're doing here is this is the beginning of our machine shop, which we're going to add 30,000 square feet on the back here and grow this out. And all this will do is we will be some percentage of our own parts and the critical parts of our guns.
Okay.
And so, you know, we started doing our own trigger, literally the best trigger ever made, because you can't use Geisley for government contracts because they double. AR goals, there's issues with trigger slap and them not going on safe when you install them in mil-spec guns. So we did our own trigger and to make it drop safe. We already have military contracts for the trigger, but there's other components. Our bolt body for the fix is a very difficult part to make. Our cam, our cocking piece on the fix, those parts are unusual for our industry and they're very difficult to machine. So it has to be the top 1% of machine shops that we deal with to make those parts. So we make them in-house. The C350 bolts for the boom box. The material, which is probably what this is $70 every 3 inches. The material.
Yeah.
So we can't afford for them to get fucked up.
Right.
And that is the most critical part of that gun. So we make them in-house. So the boom box is going to be an expensive gun. That bolt, by the time we're done, costs me $200.
Right.
Just for me to make it and inspect it.
Right.
So if you're Ron Cohen, you sell that bolt for $800. So why is our gun expensive? Well, do you want a 308 gun that weighs less than your Mark 18? I don't know. If I got to shoot somebody, like I love 300 Blackout more than the average guy. If I got to shoot somebody, I'd rather shoot them with 308. But I would rather shoot them with 300 Blackout than 9mm. So if you want a compact, lightweight gun in 308 or 6.5 or 8.6, that's, you know, 3/5 the weight of your MP5 SD, and it's 1 MOA, and it's reliable and full auto, and the bolt will last 10,000 rounds, It's got a $350 bolt in it.
So when the boombox is ready, I think we'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, oh my
Wow.
god, because that's just gonna be a fun video to talk about 8.6 versus 300 blackout, and I think we kind of got a short answer as to why 8.6 exists. But that's
Yeah.
very interesting to me.
I mean, 8.6 is the 300-meter solution.
Yeah.
It's quieter than 300 blackout, quieter than the MP5 SD. You have super and subsonic, and it's 1 MOA to 300 meters and will kill anything on the planet. And you can do it in a 5-pound gun. That's why it exists. So why do I build a 9mm? Because I want cheap ammo. Right, that's the only reason to have a 9mm.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it fits into my business model, but I love sub guns and would love to do one, but I'm not sure it makes sense for us. So
Interesting.
here's the bolts. So those are boombox bolts.
Okay. Boombox bolt.
Yeah, so I mean, you think this tray is a new car.
Right. Wow.
Not exactly, but
No, I get it. Well, it depends on the car.
well, yeah. More than my first car.
Yeah, same.
What is this? C350.
C350.
So it's a very durable, strong alloy.
Light.
Yeah, it's not necessarily lighter than 17.4. It's just much stronger. So like with 6 arc or whatever, you worry about breaking bolt lugs.
Right.
If you want to make something small, you don't want to break bolt lugs. There is no magic formula. You're going to buy very expensive material that's difficult to machine.
Yeah.
Just like a 5.56 can. If you're worried about erosion on short barrels running full auto, it's going to be Inconel. It's going to be expensive.
Right.
Clint, by the way, Andrew, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What's happening here?
We're machining the hammers over here. We're prepping the stock to size, and then over here it goes into the fixture, and we have first op in the back, and then we have 10 pieces on the second op in the front, so that way every set you get 10 complete parts off.
That's awesome. Just gonna throw it out there. It'd probably hurt if your hand got underneath there, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah. I don't know if you'd have a hand.
I don't think you'd have a hand, no.
Clear cut, man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Really cool to see this in action, though.
So essentially, boombox receiver extension.
Okay.
So they're not impact extruded or not yet. That'll be a volume thing, so we machine them here.
Wow, that is light. Okay.
Yep.
Super cool.
Yeah. So and then our 3D printer is here. So this is our 3D printer in this building. So what's going now, you can go, careful you don't slip on the floor if you want to go in. But it's printing something now, but we print several parts for production.
Okay.
3D print, so it could be doing, I can't tell. Oh, it's ready, somebody needs to come change something. But we do hollow bolt handles for the fix here. We're able to take 1 ounce or 2 ounces out of those, printing them, making it lighter. With it being hollow, it's the only way you can machine those. There's just several parts that, what's a trash can, my man? That it's easier. We can get advantages of 3D printing. Like when we talked about 3D printed silencers, 3D printing the tube is stupid. Tubing is cheap and inexpensive, and very good and consistent. And doing a weld is very cheap and inexpensive and fast. But it takes a long time to 3D print the tube, and it's never as good as if you just vault tube and weld it onto it. So 3D printing should really be reserved for things you can't machine very easily. In the future, 3D printing will get faster and better, and that may change. But for right now, like 3D printing the entire silencer is just to show you 3D print. It's not efficient. You know, there's a reason they're all like $1,200 or $1,500. Like what you should do is 3D print the core and complicated things that you can't machine, and then machine a rear mount and a tube and just weld it in place. It'd be easier. But so we use it for things that make sense. So, like I said, the bolt handle of the fix, which is easy to interchange, we can take an ounce or two out of it just by printing a hollow. You can't machine it hollow. So, I don't even know what other parts we do right now, but there's several. QC. So everything, Aaron now, we've started visual standards for our vendors and for in-house, and if something makes it to the production line, like things that you look for that aren't okay. You know, like basically, this is something that's hard to quantify, but what I want is, if I wouldn't want it and I buy it retail, then we shouldn't sell it retail. It should be a blend program, or we scrap it or whatever. And it's a real difficult thing because you can never really quantify it when it's a visual standard. Especially us doing like a lot of clear anodize, and it just turns out differently. And you know, what's acceptable, what's not. You know, all of these things are just, I don't know, it's difficult to explain. It's difficult to explain to a vendor. It takes a lot of time and effort and relationships with the vendors. You know, and getting our staff invested in it. You know, like these guys can't do every single thing of every single part. You know, you QC the vital things, you do percentage of the parts for visual inspection. They go to production, and we have to have production be invested like we are, be proud of what they're doing. And hey, you guys are also a line of QC and a line of defense for us shipping things that we wouldn't want the consumer to get. You know, even with all this, you know, and it's the same thing for shipping or receiving. Once they get it, they have to inspect it. Things can still slip through. It's amazing, but it does. And but we at least put forth a huge effort into it. And you know, it's just, and that's the challenging thing about growth, is how do we continue to grow and get better at quality. And most people are not good at that. And so for me, it's like, okay, we could sell 5 times as many honey badgers this year, but can we produce ones of the same quality? Because I don't want to kill our brand equity. You know, it's a hard thing to develop. You know, HK's done a great job of that. And you know, it's like interesting, like Brett Voorhees is the CEO of Taurus USA, and he's a good friend of mine. And Taurus is so much better than it was when I was a kid, but it's still a Taurus. Like, how do you get over that? You know, where you're a brand that operates at this price point, so you can't get everything. And he has made Taurus, helped to make Taurus so much better than they were.
I mean, Taurus is better than from when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good. But it's still, like, to get over that hurdle, that's like generations.
It is.
You know, and so, I mean, like, let's not get there.
Even still, Facebook groups now, it's like, oh, you got a Taurus, even the newer ones, like the G3, which is actually like a pretty decent pistol.
Really decent gun.
They're like, oh, it's still a Taurus.
Their 22 is, I think it beats out the Ruger.
It runs.
Oh, their 22s are awesome. What's it, the
TSX 22.
And they have the new small one. It's great. Brett sent me one of each of those. They're my favorite 22. Striker fired, the trigger's good, so it's most comparable to a gun you might carry. That's my favorite. I have a little
RMR.
RMR on mine. It's great. But but you know too, like Olivier, who's the head of engineering there, he was at FN for many years. He did all of their pistols. So he's from that mentality. And FN, they make mistakes. They make a lot of things, but they make a lot of great products. It's a great gun company. You know, like they recruited guys like that to work there and develop, and he developed those guns, and they're wonderful. But you know, it's still like Taurus has to sell at this price point. Like, I want to sell for what our gun is worth. You know, like I can't sell, you know, an AR retail for $1,000. It's just not. I mean, we would never be okay with that because there's sacrifices in it. For the average guy, might not ever know. It's fine, but for us, it just goes against what we do. But you know, there's all the measuring stuff in here: hard gauges, comparators. You know, we can, you know, bore scope every barrel, CMM machines. You know, and all the fixtures for these, we make them all in-house. And so, so this is for this is a fixed cocking piece. Whatever they calls the cam. I don't even know. But it's a very difficult part to make and a very difficult part to measure. To measure those slopes and as they transition and the angles. And so you have to have a machine like this that can go and do it and then give you a report. And so more of these are coming, and this is part of automating the QC process. But you can't use it for everything. So, like, this is the part that most companies, like if you go to definitely any company our size and several much bigger, this is where they falter.
Right.
You know, they're not checking every part that comes from a vendor because it just adds so much cost and time to it.
Right.
And you know, for me, it's like, this is where customer service starts. This is why we don't have a phone number, we got an email address. So that's bad customer service in a sense because you can't call us. But we spend a lot of time on the front end, and to me, customer service, that's what QC is. So that you don't ever need to call us. And if you do, I want an email because I want to be able to track it, because I want to make sure our guys are doing the right things.
Sure.
And I don't know, maybe that's a little micromanaging, but
That's accountability.
It's accountability, exactly right.
yeah, and I like it. And you know, I hold us to a standard, and you know, and then I'm not afraid to fire a customer. So it's like, if you're unreasonable, well, we're going to make mistakes, and we're going to do more than our part to make it right, and I'm not going to put up with a bunch of bullshit. It seems reasonable to me.
It seems very reasonable.
But yeah, yes, that's pretty much most things here.
So cool.
Unless you guys want to go out to the range, but I don't like doing that.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. It makes, so seeing all this now, one thing that I think about is like, man, it's so expensive, right? Like, why is the honey badger so expensive? And then you actually come here and now you look at the quality, you look at all of the safety nets that you guys put into place to make sure that what's going to the consumer, the end user, is a quality product that could be used and reliably used in a life or death situation. And it's like, dude, this makes so much more sense now when you actually come here and you see the effort that goes into this. It's awesome, man.
You guys hang on, I'm gonna grab a gun, we'll put on the scale. I got something I want to say.
Nothing.
I don't know if you guys realize
Nothing.
That. Okay. When I tell you that every piece of everything is measured to a T, checked to a T, and he said they don't do everything, but everything is really, it's
even the stuff they get from vendors, they're checking.
They're checking.
They're checking like for the most finite thing. And it's like, wow, dude, these guys here, we're starting to see, like, so we've been to a couple of other manufacturers before, bigger manufacturers as well. Right. And something that we really see here is, first of all, they don't have a whole lot of employees, right? And then when you see that, and then you see how meticulous everybody is about their job, dude, you can tell these guys have pride in what they do.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and that's awesome.
So they were already out here.
Oh.
So we'll put some guns on display. So it's the only place we haven't gone.
Okay.
Wow. We have a domestic in here. Oh yeah. So okay, this will be good for this too. So here's a lot of our lineup, right? We have the OG, the Honey Badger SD. So an integrated silencer, Grainger blackout, 16-inch fix and 6.5. 45-degree bolt throw, it's super fat. Oh god, look how smooth that is. I mean, but
and
that 45-degree bolt throw is about $5 million to work. Put that in perspective.
Yeah.
There's why no one else has done it. So that's
I'm gonna be spending some money today.
So you think about it, this gun is under 6 pounds.
Yep.
Takes SR25 mag, 10-round mags, full-length handguard, QERT, 36 stainless steel pieces in it, a matched barrel, tapered muzzle. You have a 1913 rail, folding stock, fully adjustable. Every screw is a T25, so there's only one tool. Let me show you how to do that. Oh, you're strong.
He's strong.
Right. So, you know, even the butt pads adjust, everything's adjustable. AR control, so AR safety, AR mag release, drop safe trigger. You know, Let me show you a cool thing about this gun. Now I'm thinking about it. So when you think about safety, right? So here's our trigger. That's all it does. It just goes up and hits the sear.
Right.
So we have one part in here. You see this big mass on the front?
Yep.
See it? Yeah. You know what that's for? So you know on your Glock, you have the little safety on the trigger, so that's for inertia. So if you drop the gun, the trigger is a lever, it's biased to fire. So what that is, this is perfectly balanced. So we were thought of it ahead of time. So if you pull this out and put it on a trigger pin and spin it, you'd think the trigger stops at the bottom. Random location, because it's perfectly balanced. So when you drop this gun on the butt, that's not biased to fire because of that lever, because it's perfectly balanced by that mass on this side.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Yes. And this is my contribution to this gun. So I was one of the 6 guys that worked on it. These rails, just like a pistol. So we have the bolt shroud. And the reason that's important, you're at full draw here, right?
Right.
And so with a Remington 700, or that, which all guns basically are, bolt guns, you're only engaged right here. So this is flopping around, even if it's hand fitted. If you run it fast, you can bind the gun.
That's right.
Or short stroke. With this, it's supported here and there.
So it's continuous.
If it's here, yeah, there and here. So at the back, it's supported and you can fire it quickly. You don't bind it while you're working the action. So that gun's under 6 pounds and a 16-inch 6.5 full-length handguard, fully adjustable folding stock, ambi selector for all you nerds. But the only off-the-shelf part out of the 109 parts of this gun are the mag catch spring and that pistol grip.
Yeah.
Everything else is custom to this gun. So if anybody else made this gun, it would be $10,000. So when people are like, oh, the fix is $3,300, it's so expensive, it's stupid, I can get a Savage that shoots that good. Anybody can make an accurate bolt gun. It is not hard. All it is the barrel. What you pay for the fix is everything else. You want to fold your stock, you want to put it in a backpack, you want it to weigh less than your AR, but you can shoot 1,000 yards with it. You want to not have to guess if it's on safe or not. You want that short bolt throw for fast follow-up shots. You want a trigger that's light and crisp and drop safe. Good luck. So yeah, that's an awesome product. All right, so I digress. Here we go. So then, 5.56 Honey Badger. You know, with the 9.69 inch barrel. So compared to your Mark 18.
Yep. Mine's out in the car.
Yours is, okay. So how much that gun worth?
About 5 pounds.
You're probably pressing that.
I promise you I'm not.
But okay, 5 pounds. So weigh that Mark 18. You know, the only way you get 1.5 pounds out of a gun is it comes out of everywhere. It doesn't come out of one spot. And you know, that's part of the brilliance of this gun. And that's why there's not a lot of common parts in it.
Right.
Oh, it's been fired. No.
So, you know, and like you look at the flash hider. Like, why do you think we did a 2-piece flash hider? What would be your guess? Because it ain't cheaper.
As I say, it's got to be something tolerance,
Pressure.
something.
Is that nitride? It's because you wanted the raw.
You wanted the raw material.
Where the silencer attached, but then you wanted.
That's the best guess anyone's had so far.
Yeah.
It's good. So, but we could have easily not nitrided that. It doesn't give us a lot to nitride that. It'll be a little better for erosion, but. So, it's a tapered muzzle. So we want this, the silencer mount, to be tapered and engage the taper, right? That's how we get the best alignment for the silencer. Well, for a flash hider to be the most effective it can possibly be, and we know this because the blackout flash hider we did at AAC and all the government contracts are one with that. The way it's best for flash, and we can keep it short, it doesn't have to be the length of the B.E. Myers, it has to shoulder against the muzzle. There can't be a gap between the muzzle and the flash hider. And it has to start near the diameter of the bore. So the only way to do that is to have this piece shoulder on the muzzle of the rifle. You can't time it to where that shoulder's on the muzzle and that shoulder's on the table. So it has to be 2 pieces. So, you know, we could have cut a corner, made this a little longer, made it 1 piece, and probably 2/3 the price. But then that's attention to detail. I don't even want you to shoot without a silencer, but if you do, you have the best flash hider for that length you can possibly buy.
Right. Yeah. Q, don't cut corners.
Yeah, I know, it's 2 o'clock.
We didn't do this shit for nothing.
Nah.
We didn't do this shit for
Don't
nothing,
ask
right?
No accident.
Wow.
This thing's nice and lightweight.
All right, so
This will make a great giveaway. What do you think?
why did no dust cover?
It's not necessary. Like, we have a video of a dust cover, like doing some of our high-speed video where the spring broke, and so the dust cover's flopping, and it goes to eject around and shooting, and the dust cover flops up and causes a malfunction. Stoner was against the dust cover. That was an Army requirement, maybe Air Force. And you know, the reason most dust covers now would be for over the beach stuff, which isn't a thing for 99.9% of even soldiers. So the dust cover extra parts that can add weight, they add complexity, and they can induce a malfunction. And so other people say, oh, well, you could get dirt. Like, that's not happening with you with your gun. You're not crawling through the mud, getting it packed in there, and just have it against your body if that's the thing. So with this, originally it was to replace the MP5 SD, and that's where it started. There's no dust cover on the MP5 SD. It was additional weight, and they wanted us to make the gun as compact and lightweight as possible. And there was no dust cover requirement. So then when you get used to that, you start investigating it. And then when we had these break, and we got on video a malfunction induced by that. Like, we had 3 malfunctions in 10,000 rounds on a 5.56 Honey Badger, and one of them was that breaking.
Interesting. Yeah.
So,
So eliminate the problem, or the potential
yeah.
problem.
And so, yeah, you can, something can happen, but you know, you don't have a dust cover on your Glock and you keep it like in your pants.
Yeah.
You think of all the guns, like an AK, you don't have a dust cover. If it's in a firing position, there's no dust cover. Like all these guns, in our mind, we think because AR has it, you should have it. And there are certain conditions, but they're very rare. But it's also, you know, like things on the AR that we take for granted. Like, you chamber around your AR and eject it, there's a hit on the the primer.
Right.
That would never fucking be okay today.
Yeah.
It's just like we allow it because it's a legacy thing. Like, there's no other gun where you have that. Look at the HK416. They have a firing pin block to prevent that because there are countries that don't allow that.
Right.
And that kind of makes sense. Like, I don't want the firing pin hitting my primer, but we accept it because of that. Like, that's not something that would be acceptable in a gun design from today.
Yeah.
You know, most people don't even know that's the case.
Yeah, and it is true. I mean, it's a free-floated firing pin. It's just hanging out in there until the hammer makes contact and sends enough force to actually make contact with the primer to cause that detonation. But yeah, if you look at it, you chamber around, then you unchamber, you'll pick it up and like, it almost looks like a very, very, very light primer strike. That's because it is.
Yeah. Well, you know, in hammer, you just have so much more inertia, so much more power driving the firing pin. But when you go to a bolt gun, so it creates an issue because people say, oh, you can have light primer strikes with the fix. That's true, but every time we've ever had ammo, we have a light primer strike with the fix, we have it with the Remington 700.
Okay.
So the thing is, for guns, machine guns with a floating firing pin like the AR, the industry had developed primers that were harder. So there's a thicker cup.
Right.
And so what happens is a lot of times those get loaded into ammo and people put them in their bolt guns. Well, your striker's never going to have the inertia that hammer firing pin's going to have. So a problem that's created in the industry is light primer strikes with bolt actions across Ruger American, the Blauser, our guns, the Remington 700, the Gunworks gun. If ours doesn't fire it, none of theirs does. And that's because of that. It's because of the AR, because of those primers. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist. So then, you know, a Sugar Weasel, we couldn't produce enough Honey Badgers initially, so we did a Sugar Weasel for 2 reasons. It uses, you know, mil-spec receivers. We don't do the forward assist, but we still have the dust cover on there. But it's, you know, the poor man's Honey Badger. It's a far less expensive gun. that guys can afford and we can make in volume.
But it still has the Q quality.
Right.
Like you're still getting a very reliable, badass gun.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of the things. I mean, this one still has radian stuff on it. You have the ALG trigger, which is nice for a mil-spec type trigger. But you still get fast twist barrels, adjustable gas block, tapered muzzle. You know, a lot of the things that are important to people. And that's just a honey badger we did for, I don't know who, somebody, and we did some green ones. We just Cerakote.
Looks good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I like the way it looks a lot.
What's this gun weigh?
Jesus.
Less than 4.5 pounds.
Right.
Well, I could probably take that out. It's less. But it's under 4.5 pounds. That's an LVAW. Like, what's your rattler weigh?
Yeah, how much is that thing like?
I mean, I brought it.
Yeah, like I said, I brought my Mark 18. I figured we'd bring it, you know.
6 pounds. We have a 308 that weighs that. It's 10. It's 10. You know, and mini fix, which is a 300 blackout, 8-inch barrel with an arm brace on it, still folding arm brace. You know, you SBR, you can put the full stock on it like this. That's an 8-inch, or that's a 12-inch 8.6 fix here. So that's a cool gun.
Yeah, it is.
But you think, like, what's this? Well, this has a whole bunch of rubber on it. This is probably heavy because it's brace.
5.2.
I like this. This is probably heavy.
It is heavy. It's 4.75 pounds.
Heavy.
So, well, if it had the stock on it, it'd be
Heavy.
lighter. That's a 4.5 pound gun with a stock. And that's a 8-inch 300 blackout, you know, 1 in 5 twist. 12-inch, so this is the full-size fix, takes SR25 max. So we're bringing this out in 308 soon with a 12-inch barrel. So that'll be a cool gun. But it's a switch barrel, so you could switch to 8.6. But, you know, in 8.6, so I've killed Cape Buffalo with barrel shorter than this, and it's a 5.44 pound gun.
What barrel length do you hunt with in 8.6?
I've hunted with all. Like, if you want to use super and sub, the 12-inch is the best length.
Okay.
If you just hunt with sub, 8-inch is where it's at, because it's a big, long, slow bullet, and with 8-inch, it's in the barrel less time, so you get the best dispersion with the short barrel.
Interesting.
Yeah. But with super, you get more linear velocity and RPMs, you know, rotational velocity. So I like the 12-inch for supers. I've killed with the 16-inch, it's good, but at any distance I've killed stuff with 16, I could kill with 12.
But you could do it also with 8.
With supers, I've killed with supers with 8, and it's better than I thought, but it's all been within a couple 100 yards. With subs, I've killed to 300. And with super, with this, I've killed to 435. Big animals. And this is cool. This is a 6-ARC with a proof barrel. So it's a mini fix, takes the AR mags, you know, ambi selector, AR controls, folding stock, fully adjustable. And that gun's probably, I don't know, 5.5 pounds. So lighter than any AR and any other bolt gun at 6-ARC.
So this is 6-ARC?
Yeah. Probably says 6.5 Gringold. 6-ARC. There's no recoil. The gun's so easy to shoot.
Huh, man.
But, you know, what's this gun weigh here?
Wow.
That's a proof barrel too. But that's, you know, the same. Like under 5.5 pounds. But, you know, I can have a 6 Creedmoor, which is way better downrange for under 6 pounds. So, and, you know, it uses a standard mag and bolt.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, so this is probably mostly the lineup. Oh, this thing. Yeah, you probably have one of those Daniel Defense copies of this, the IBR or IBF or ISR.
I just have the Mark 18.
So silencer, 7-inch, 1 in 5 barrel, adjustable gas block, literally the best trigger ever made, ambi selector and charging handle.
I want that gun.
Under 5.3 pounds.
I want that gun.
And you only do that by weight coming out of every part.
Right. Now, do you, as far as, I mean, the silencer is snug right up in here. Do you have any issue with that as far as throwing out any accessories or anything? I mean, because obviously you can't
Yeah,
really
we
use
know we
it.
originally did this gun before M-Lock existed, but the cuts that we made here were very close to M-Lock. So we just went ahead and put them in here.
Yeah.
And you can only use M-Lock back here.
Right.
And two, the handguard gets super hot.
Right.
So there'll be a 2.0 Honey Badger in the next couple years.
Okay.
And mostly the handguard will be a little bigger. There's some other things happening. But this original requirement was for shooting 2 magazines max.
Right.
And there was I think a 3 MOA or 2.5 MOA 100 meter accuracy requirement.
Yeah.
Super and sub, and a sound requirement. And this, they wanted the smallest, lightest thing.
Yeah.
And like, if the handguard touches the silencer, if it meets the accuracy requirement, they didn't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean,
And we stayed true to that.
Right. My solution to that, though, Liberty's Defense, who makes probably some of the best silencer covers, you know, super high heat rated and stuff like that. They also make the rail covers. You know, just wrap that around there, and now you got yourself and I don't see any issue with that.
Because this isn't a gun that I would go do like a class with or anything. This is a gun that I have in my house for home defense.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, you know, if I shoot more than 2 mags, I hold the handguard back here.
Right.
I mean, that's really the way it goes.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
So, you know, it's a true race car. It's a purpose-driven thing. But that's where this whole thing, with a longer barrel than your Rattler and a silencer, weighs almost a pound less.
It weighs way less than mine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. So,
mine's heavy.
yeah, so for me at home, I keep a light on this, and I have I have 2. I have one with an EOTech and one with an aim-point micro currently.
I do have a question. This is more of your home defense gun, right?
I mean, this was the original LVAW that I did to present to them.
I know where he's going.
So, low visibility assault weapon. This is for being able to conceal it and being lightweight and simple and being able to shoot somebody out to 300 meters with it.
Got
That's
it.
what it is.
What I'm asking though is, for your home defense gun, do you have a sling on it?
A sling?
Yeah.
No. Why would you have a sling on a home defense gun?
Oh, do you have a light on it?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to ask. That's all.
I didn't ask that dumbass question.
If you know, you know. All right.
You know.
Oh man, but no, this, like I said, dude, a suppressor wrap or just a rail wrap on that, dude. I run the shit out of
Yeah,
it.
one light. On the other one, I have one light back here, and the other one I have the Surefire light that goes on the top and it lays
Switches.
right here.
Yep, exactly. And I love that, and pressure pad right back
Yeah.
here, and you're still activated. And you're not
See,
having to worry
I
about.
don't even use that
Yeah.
because I'm afraid that could get tangled or whatever. I
Sure.
just use the button. And
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of guys run the light bar and then push the light up even farther. And I think that would be
Ideal.
Oh, that's cool, but like I've looked into that stuff because this does obscure some of the light.
Right.
And I used to have a light that was mounted on top at 12 o'clock because I don't care because my aim point's higher than that.
Yep.
But when I used it in my house, like, okay, it's all dark. It's people wanting 1,000 lumens or something like.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know what everybody's tactics are, but you want to blind them. Like, I just want to see good enough to shoot them.
right.
And for me, it's still like the lowest lumen I can get from Surefire is still too bright in my house at night.
Right.
Like, I also want to be able to see, and if I wake up and I hit 1,000 lumens, like
Oh,
I'm seeing
God.
spots everywhere.
Right.
So is this considered a 2-stamp gun or what?
It's a 2-stamp gun. We don't pin and weld, which is becoming a thing probably as we grow, and I hate it. But you kids with your clones and your pinning and welding, and
We just hate
nuts.
taxes, man.
I hate tax.
I'm sorry, I'm a clone
Make
nerd.
more money.
Yeah, make more money.
I'm a clone nerd.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, this is what it is, and the Honey Badger's kind of become a brand, which we talked about on the podcast.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Still, 11-year-old kids all know what it is.
So, question for you:
Yeah.
Is it possible? I know everybody loves this. Will there ever be just upper versions, retrofit kits? If you have a Sugar Weasel now and you wanted to say, I really want this Honey Badger upper. I know your face is twitching. I know you hate the answer.
Maybe, but you know, like I don't sell this silencer either.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like,
SRUGI.
maybe it's nostalgia. I don't even know that it makes business sense. But like, I covet this gun. This was like a defining moment in my career.
Right.
And this is like the first thing where I realized I can tell the most elite group in the world, you need this and you don't realize it.
Right.
And I'm right and you're wrong. And here's how we get it into your system.
Right.
So this is something that I really love. And I don't know, if I'm being honest, some of it might be nostalgia. And I don't want people I don't sell receiver kits because I don't want people building bootleg bullshit that looks like my stuff. Like, aspire to own the real thing. And you know, this has value, it does to me personally.
Right.
And I want it to be exclusive for guys that understand it and are willing to do it. And if you want to, you know, do an arrow precision low, like I love anybody building guns and shooting guns and being interested in it. 300 blackout, 5, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
But if you want this, like, you can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to your educated friends. And I don't want it to be something that's cheapened.
Right.
So will we sell uppers? Like, I'm old enough to know never to say never, but I reserve the right to change my mind
There you
also.
go. There you go.
But no, I don't want to. This is a badass thing that started a whole thing around the world within the military. And I don't want to cheapen it any more than maybe I already have. I don't know. I want it to continue to evolve, but this was a big chunk of my life, and it cost millions of dollars for us to do 300 blackout and all this stuff. It's like I told you guys on the podcast, like, I don't make money off the ammo I develop or the cartridges I develop. You know, it's just an expense to me. And if you can't afford to buy our products, that's cool. Like, I want to make things you can, whether it's a sugar weasel or whatever. But if you just don't want to support innovation, then don't buy our shit.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off. Go buy whatever you want. You know, our stuff's not cheap because of what we put into it. And, you know, it's not cheap. When we go over and see the engineers now, all those guys make shitloads of money. I didn't make as much money as them until I've been working 10 years. If you're not going to get exceptional shit from ordinary people, and extraordinary people have the ability to work anywhere they want, it's expensive. And they're the ones that develop shit that we all aspire to have, and you either have an appreciation for that or you don't. Like, you want to go fast, buy a Corvette. Like, you appreciate what Porsche does, spend the extra money and support them.
GT3 RS.
Yeah.
That was a great analogy.
That's perfect. Yeah. So are you like, what are your thoughts on this gun right now?
So like I said, I'm a clone whore, nerd, call it whatever you want to.
Yeah.
So this is it for me. Like, this is the grand coup d'etat.
I want to own the gun that revolutionized what CQB is. You know what I mean? That's how like, this gun makes me feel things.
Just like you said, this is years of your life wrapped up into this, and you're only gonna evolve it even more.
And you think I'm some stupid kid from Georgia that convinced the most elite group in the world they should replace their 9mm with this? You know, I'm not B&T making an 8-pound 9mm and getting a little Army contract and pat myself on the back about it. I don't give a shit about that. They're Swiss, they make nice stuff. They make, I mean, their guns.
Except the 308s.
Except the 308s.
I don't know. I mean, you think their 9mm is like, it's a Tech 9 that's made in Switzerland. Like, you didn't do anything special. Like, don't kid yourself. And that's the thing with the 308s. All these companies building 308s. Like the MCX, that Spear, that's a cool gun, but it's also stupid. It weighs 10 pounds. Who gives a shit? Like, you know, Stoner did something better than that in the 1950s. Like, I'm not impressed. Like, why would we ever replace the M16 with a gun that's less accurate and heavier and bigger?
Okay,
like,
hold on.
Why?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. M14 or FAL?
FAL.
Okay, I lost that one. So that was great. It was fun to be here, Kevin. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Like I said, I've always loved and admired the M14, but I do believe we lost out by not going to the FAL and the original chambering also.
Okay.
Yeah. In the 280 British. 308. I love 308, but there's no denying when they were doing the testing at that point in time, and they ultimately made the FAL they changed it for the U.S. right? But that 280 British round apparently was just better all around too.
That's the reason why we're such rebels.
How do we define better too? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
true.
With the FAL and the
More
M14,
accurate.
like, I don't love the M14. I like the FAL a lot, but it's neither what I would want.
Right. Sure.
You know, that's where I think I want a 308, but that's why it's so hard to replace the M4 or the M16. The ergonomics are great. The gun is easy to shoot.
Right.
You know, it's lightweight, it's compact. So if with the boombox, we want to make an 8.6, 308, 6.5, 6 Creedmoor gun that is an M4. That's the challenge. Like anybody can make, you know, like SIG, and I worked on it was the MCX MR mid-range back when I worked on it.
Right.
And there was only 3, and there's pictures on the internet of me hunting with one and shooting stuff. But having 2 charging handles, stupid. Now I get wanting a side charging handle. Yeah, but now with all the optics and everything everybody puts on, like I love the Setmir, the HKG3 charging handle and the location. But okay, I also understand now guys run inline and lasers and stuff up front, so it gets in the way.
Right.
Sure.
So this has always been a compromise, the charging handle at the rear of the receiver. You get gas in your face, you can't seal the receiver. It's not really ergonomic, but if you need to mount stuff,
It gets out of
maybe
the way.
it's the best thing. Like I would love to have my charging handle here or here, but okay, put it here. Can't have a silencer, gas blocks in the way. You can't mount your laser, your flashlight. You know, that's a difficult problem to solve. And you know what SIG did is try to have both, and it gets heavy and weak and stupid.
It takes chunks out of your hand.
Yeah. So, you know, there's some problems that are more difficult, but you know, that to us was the boom box. Let's make a 300-meter solution and a gas gun. But then also, if we want to have a 16-inch barrel, and you may not want this stock, because this is a great stock for CQB.
Right.
It sucks for precision. So we put a regular receiver extension, 16-inch barrel on the boom box, put an M4 stock, like maybe that new Magpul stock where it's supported underneath where you can use it on a bag. Now I got a 1,000-meter gun that weighs under 6 pounds. So 50% lighter than SR25, than the Spear, than, you know, lots of guns in 308, the G3. And you still have a full-length handguard. You can mount stuff everywhere. You have a matched trigger. You know, you have all the things that you need. All the accessory mounting. There's not a lot of compromise in the gun. What the compromise is we have to bet on it and do something the military doesn't even know is capable or is out there, and it's a gun we would want and we understand, and then convince people of it.
Right.
You know, it's like when I talk shit about 6R. 6R is cool as hell, but you change the mag, it's not going to be reliable in a gas gun. Change the bolt, they break in a gas gun. We did it with 6.8 SBC, and that cartridge is by every measure inferior to 6 Creedmoor. 6 Creedmoor, you put an SR25 mag, full mag capacity, standard bolt face, so you're not breaking bolts, and it's better downrange, and you can go farther with it. And it's up to us to build a gun that's reasonable in that chambering. And so that eliminates the need for, that's why 308 gas guns aren't popular, because they're big and they're heavy and it's a pain in the ass. Like, you're a big dude. Like, you're probably twice the size of the average geek that buys guns, and it's like, I don't know, you don't want to carry a 10-pound gun, like base gun around, like it sucks. It's true, but.
Like, I love the recoil impulse of the MR762, you know what I mean? I love it, but the moment I start decking it out with all the Gucci gear that I want to have on it, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, it gets heavy.
That gun's stupid heavy. But you know, the requirement at the time, the initial requirement for dispersion and, you know, rounds, like all these things, that's what the gun was. But I'll go back to when I criticized the military for that requirement, is people not being honest about what they're going to do. If we base everything on worst case scenario, everything's always going to be heavy, not as usable, and very expensive. And, you know, and then you lose the capability for the average scenario. When it doesn't shoot as well and it's bigger and more awkward and heavier and all these things, you're slower with it, or you're not going to carry it. Okay, so so these guys are always a huge mess. Here's a lot of boombox stuff that's going on. Well, here's 3D stuff that we print for it.
Okay.
And Mitch can run you through it. Probably want to talk to him. But you know, these some prototypes, and we're going through the whole deal now and generations of it. Like this is probably the first one that he put together. You can see it's a 3D printed bolt carrier that we printed.
Just that's sweet.
Look at the color.
Yeah.
Well, that's just, we didn't even anodize that one.
Yeah.
We just put one of the first sets together and shot it.
Right. The rail is interesting. I like that.
Yeah, so it's a cool concept, I believe. So trying to make the lightest, stiffest rail possible. So you have the receiver, of course, and the handguard. And you know, when you do something like the MCX, where you try to integrate it all, or the LMT, it just ends up heavy. No way around it. And so what we wanted was light but stiff. Okay, so we want a QERT for the top too. Maybe I'll start there, because see, here's a whole QERT. Because why do you need the 1913? So you can just have direct optic mounts.
Right. Yeah. And
But
which is cool to see. I mean, it's the entire length. That is.
Yeah, so you can put the 1913 on it, and then we can add cant if we want. So if you want to shoot real far, you can have a 20 or 30 MOA, or we do 6 and 12 mil. Or you can just mount a red dot to here, mount your laser directly to here, your light to here, or here. So it saves weight and having all this unnecessary 1913. So we have a drive screw that goes in the receiver here, the receiver slightly taller, and one here, and we have pinch here. So it makes it incredibly stiff. And when you add that top rail, it's half the weight of every other thing on the market and twice as stiff. So you can load the bipod, do whatever you want. It's a switch barrel gun like our fix.
Yep.
So you can go from an 8-inch 8.6 to 12-inch 308. Prototype gas systems and stuff that we're trying, or that we were trying, all in the same gun. The steel part, we found this with the charging handle. When you build a gun this light, and it's in 308, the charging handle, a mil-spec charging handle, and dimensions on the receiver, it unlatches.
Right.
So what we had to do is redesign the charging handle and the latches, negative angle, and then there's a steel insert in the receivers to where it doesn't wear and it latches correctly.
But it's also a replaceable piece.
It's replaceable, yeah.
Wow.
Without a whole lot of weight and extra screws and things. As you can see here in this receiver, well, you can see it on that one as well, we have pinch. So we don't have, you don't have to have a vise torque just like a M16 or SR25.
Yeah.
They have pinch to take up all the tolerance between the two parts.
That's cool.
So, and that allows us to switch barrels out without having a vise.
Yeah.
But it's also, this is longer, get more engagement.
Right.
So it's stiffer, you know, we can get better accuracy out of it. What else? Hey, here you are. Okay, so here's him putting the machine gun. Yeah, so this is a full auto one that we've been shooting. And so it goes together way easier than the original Honey Badger. We have a full diameter spring, but we have the short receiver extension, so the buffer's integrated in with the back of the carrier. So this is a modular carrier, just like we showed you with the 5.56 Honey Badger. This carrier is vented, and it's run with super N subsonic, I would guess, because if subsonic only carrier we do, wouldn't vent it.
It might not.
Yeah, and so that'd be quieter at the shooter's ear. But there's a lot of innovation in this, and you're not going to get one without doing the testing. Trying to do a 308 gun with a short barrel, long barrel, supersonic, subsonic, 8.6. There's a lot going on to do. So this is not simply you just grow a Honey Badger by 5% and build it. It's not going to work. You see the top rail is mounted to the QERT, and this is 70-75. That's why it's the gold color like the Honey Badger, and the gray is all 60-61 aluminum extrudable. So extrudable handguard. There's some accessories that we're working on that are QERT. But you can feel that. I mean, that's a 8-inch gun with a full-size silencer, vertical foregrip sling, and EOTech on it. That is, you know, still lighter than the MP5 SD. I mean, that's
that is impressive.
60% the weight of like the SR25 or the Spear or something like that.
So with it being this light, shooting that caliber, I have no experience with 8.6. Never pulled the trigger on it or anything like that. Under full auto fire, I mean, what kind of
What kind of recoil are we filling with this?
Amy, who you met at the other facility, her 11-year-old son shot it the other day on full auto. We recorded it.
Yeah.
So he weighs 65 pounds, 11 years old. He's
Right.
a runt, and he shot it. 8.6 is very low recoil impulse, especially compared to 338 Federal or 308.
Okay.
It's better, even super and subsonic. And so he shot 2 10-round bursts of 8.6 subsonic the other day that we videoed. It's like my kids shooting the MP5 SD.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
So, and as you saw, the selector goes all the way around. There's no hole in the receiver. So we have a version of literally the best trigger ever made, which is a cassette trigger that is the Sears built into it and a select fire without having to drill a hole in your gun.
How about that?
So the guns for the government and the military, they don't have the third hole. So that's how you would check to see if it's full auto. Does the
Right.
selector go around another 90 degrees?
That is interesting.
This is the one, if you guys shot it at shot, this is probably that gun. Right. You know, and I mean, and there's what you get out of it. You know, you shoot that 124, 147 grain 9mm, or you can shoot a 350 grain 8.6 that'll put a 1.25 inch hole through you.
Yikes.
How many times is it tumbling in the body?
Well, it spins once every 3 inches. So it's a lot of arterial damage. A lot of cocks are,
That's a lot of it. That's a lot of damage.
yeah.
Yeah, that is impressive. Wow.
Yeah, and you know, and here's, this is one we'll probably take to Africa. This trip. So I mean, it's 8.6 with a bipod. That scope is heavy. Scope mount.
It's Mark 5 HD. I mean,
so it's good. Yeah, it's good because you can dial a lot for the
Right.
subsonic, and we got probably a 6 or a 12, probably telling on the back MOA rail on there. You can
12.
tell because they're marked on the back and they're gold,
Right.
rather than being the gray color. But you know, we're hunting to 300 meters with subsonic strips. So that's with a bipod, full length silencer, one-piece mount,
right.
a Mark 5 scope.
And I could carry this all day. I could
Oh
carry
yeah,
this all day.
yeah, it's
you know?
light. It's light. So that's.
This is just cool. This is just really, really cool.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, this is a reason to isolate the engineers so they can stick to just design.
Right.
You know, and like I was saying, the culture here is we've got a great one for our engineers. We don't isolate them from the manufacturing or assembly process or the testing process like at a lot of the big companies. Our guys do everything, and that started with the leadership here. It started with Ethan Lassard and then Nick Schaefer, and now all these guys are the same way. You get your hands dirty, do your own testing, you know how to run the machine, and it just creates, I think, the pride in the product, you know. Like Nick Schaefer's the head of engineering now. The Fix, he was the lead on it. It's his baby. 6 of us worked on it, but he was in charge. Mitch is, you know, he's the lead engineer. It's his first gun project, and he's the lead engineer on the boom box. But you know, it being his gun, it's all these guys are working on it.
Right.
You know, and then I just come in and pick something apart. But so, you know, like some of the big companies, when we worked at SIG, which again, great gun company, but they'll have the guys working on the MPX and the guys working on this. Like, I want all of these guys to participate in some way.
Right.
Because they end up with better decisions and challenging each other. Like, these guys fight and argue, and all these things that are important because, you know, Ethan Lassard, who traditionally was the head of engineering, now he's the head of special projects now, like the VP of engineering. And he does in charge of 8.6 and some government stuff, and kind of lives on an island here by himself, but he's also involved in these. And, you know, Ethan's one of the smartest people I've ever met, but he's way smarter when it's him and Mitch and Nick and Drew and Matt and all of them working on something. And so, you know, that's kind of a difference. Mitch, you know, he's responsible for this ultimately, but you know, everybody here has to play a part in it to be successful. Yeah, but it's cool when we create this culture of we want to be the best. We don't want to be the biggest gun company. We don't want to make, you know, we're not setting out to make the most money. Sure, we all want to be like rich and famous and get lots of chicks or whatever, but it's like, I mean, really what we want to do is develop the most innovative, highest quality stuff that presents a new capability.
Yeah, so
Because any
what-
of these guys can work at any company.
Right. Yeah, and what I'm hearing from you though are these individuals are inspiring innovation, and we're seeing that
Live and in color.
live and in color, like
Yeah.
right here, which is super cool.
Which is cool, you know, because sometimes it used to be like SHOT Show would dictate time frames for things.
Yeah.
Or we come up with these artificial things, or finance runs the company. You're done at this date and here's your budget.
Right.
You know, which is for them a cool thing. I think where it's hard to poach these guys is I'm in charge of this company and I love innovation more than I love a lot more money.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, here's where we are with the project. We thought we'd be done. Here's what we ran into. Do we stop?
Oh.
Do you want us to keep going? Is it okay if it takes 3 more months?
Yeah.
You know, and they just have one guy to deal with.
Yeah.
They don't have a committee of guys
Board.
trying to get a
Board,
bonus.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, board. It's like, yeah, let's do the right thing. What's the right thing long term? We talked about the 5.56 can, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can release it now, but we know there's an issue most people never encounter. We could do that on Gen 2. Well, okay, how much time and work and effort is it?
Right.
You know, let's do the right thing, and rather than having a new version out in a year and a half from now, let's update this when it should be updated. You know, and that could be 3 years, could be 5 years. And
that's why
And
you've
that's
done
why.
that. Yeah, you've done all that before. I mean, there is no second guesswork. You would rather spend the time, and there's no such thing as perfection, but excellence is definitely strived for on a daily basis.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's what I want. You know, and how do I measure this? It's like when we go hunting in Africa, nobody's watching, and I can pick any gun I want. What do I want to hunt? What do I want to shoot with? If I'm at my house and I'm depending on it to save my life, what gun am I going to use? You know, am I cutting corners to make more money, or do I believe our product's the best? And how do I believe it? You know, I believe these assholes when we do all the testing, and we know, and they can show me proof. And that's how they are too. So, you know, Mitch, what are you going to hunt with in Africa this trip?
That 12-inch 8.6 and then a 24-inch 6.5.
What gun?
The fix.
Well, why aren't you hunting with the rings and stuff?
Because I did that my entire childhood. It sucks.
How good's a folding stock when you use a gun?
Changes your life. Like, you think about, like, I'm carrying around a 24-inch gun. Like, that's what I'm going to take to Africa. It's a long barrel. Like, it's more barrel than generally I would want to carry around, but I know we're going to do some shooting on some small animals pretty far away. So with a folding stock, it fits up in a scabbard on a backpack, and you
Doesn't
forget
even
it.
stick above your
You
head.
forget it's even a long gun on your back. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Hey, Nick, excuse me. So Nick was in charge of the fix. Nick, you remember that time you said you don't want a folding stock?
The spin rack is keeping me down. It's isolating me from you.
Do you remember that time? Mitch, do you remember that? We were working on the fix?
It's not exactly what I
Remember?
said. I would have been signing off there.
I'm Clint, by the way.
Clint, Nick.
Nick, nice to meet you, man.
It was
Jason.
a crappy handshake.
There we go.
So Nick's in charge of engineering, and the fix was his rifle. It was his project. Remember when you told us that you didn't want a folding stock?
I didn't, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a floppy folding
How
stock.
wrong
It's a bad
were you?
idea. What's that?
How wrong were you about it?
I like the folder. It's decent.
Idiot. You know, but it's so cool because Nick challenged us on it and we argued about it. You know, and Nick's excuse was, and he was right on everything we've ever seen before. I don't think there's another example of a folding stock where I would rather have it over a fixed stock. This is the only one. And what Nick said is it's bullshit. They all are big and bulky and they all get loose or they rattle, and Nick wanted a precision rifle.
Right.
And I was like, well, fuck that. We got to have a folding stock. And he's like, well, they'll do it. I said, okay, well, you guys figure out how to make one that doesn't do that. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. That's why you're an engineer. And so that's why when I were stuck here, when you look at it and these parts don't line up, it's the smallest, lightest, like, the hinge that I've seen on the market. And the reason it's this way is as it wears, which all mechanical things do, it can continue to wedge together, so it'll always stay tight. It never gets loose.
How about that?
And when you have these with a button on the side and all this shit, it's, no, they're eventually going to be loose and rattle. Like, this Sig Cross, the bootleg version of this.
You know, it's funny. We talked to FN, and when I asked them about the Scar 20, and I was like, why doesn't it have a folding stock? And they said, well, it needed to be a precision gun, so we're not going to put a folding stock on it.
They did a big plastic hinge that sucks butt. Like, that thing is not durable and it wobbles. It's like, it's terrible.
And that's what the Scar 20, they were like, well, this is our precision rifle, so we're not going to put a folding stock on it because folding stocks aren't precision. Same company that also made the FN Ballista with the folding stock. So, you know, I thought that was kind of funny, but you guys took it and found a way to, well, make it rigid, make it durable, and make it...
You get one of the real smart guys, and that's his job, and he just works on that thing for months until it's right.
Until it's right.
Like while I laid out the rest of the rifle, we had one guy just on the hinge for
Months.
many iterations.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how you do it. I mean, that Scar hinge is, like, I like the Scar, I'm no hater.
Yeah.
That hinge is ridiculous. It's just like they wanted to make it out of plastic and cheap, and how can they do it all?
Right.
Like, that's the way. They didn't care. They didn't want a folding stock on that gun. They were required to, and you can tell by the effort they put into the hinge. It's stupid.
Yeah.
And I like the gun. Like, the Scar Heavy is a cool gun. I like it.
Yeah.
But you know, that's a part with this. I mean, having all this adjustability without adding weight. You know, it's like the Cross. You see, theirs has wiggle in it and rattles when it's open. And so they just did a new one. I don't even know if you've seen it, for the 300 Win Mag version.
Oh, okay.
And they changed it, and it still has a button and still wiggles. But it's like they redesigned the hinge, and it still sucks. I'm like, just copy the hinge. Just copy it, losers. So
just admit it.
But yeah, their stock where it's like so big and bulky, and like, do you need QD things for this?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't adjust my cheek height very much if I'm keeping the same scope on there.
It's a set it forget it kind of thing. Once you, for a precision rifle, for me, my comb height is going to be set to the optic, and that's the way I'm going to leave it.
That's the way you do it. And with this, if you add 2 ounces here and 2 ounces here and 2 ounces there, and before you know it, you have a gun that's too heavy.
What's up?
Does this look familiar to you? Somebody who copied someone's homework?
You want to enlighten us?
Come on, think about it. SHOT Show. The first range day we went to.
Oh, the BXR, the BRX, or the
BRX1.
BRX1. Yeah.
Have you seen that?
There's a couple of straight pull guns that look similar. The
Merkel.
Yeah, we got accused of copying. I didn't know it existed until
Yeah, I
after.
didn't either. And it's like, you copied it, and it's like, well, that's a straight pull.
Right.
That's not
So if you want it to run on rails, you have to have enough rail. You end up with this, three people come up with the same basic shape.
Yeah, the shroud.
Yeah.
Which that's like, the Cross, like, they're trying to save weight, they don't have the shroud.
Right.
And that's, another reason it's like kind of ugly. Which this adds weight and all, and it's nice, it covers all that mechanism, so you keep some shit out of it. But, also aesthetically it looks good, and we can have the rails and have the contacts, in 2 places at full draw.
Yeah, and you don't get any of that bind that you mentioned before. Yeah.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, this one comes in a SD variant, right?
We make a version of it,
Right.
with the shroud, with a silencer shroud and the continuous top rail.
Okay.
In the Mini, I don't think we've ever offered a regular fixed SD yet.
Yeah, we're
But,
about to, but
we will. It's the same part assembly.
Well, okay.
yeah.
Or similar.
And will
Right.
this be an SD version?
I'm sure Kevin will make us do it at some point.
Our wrestling toy?
Yeah, but
Someday we'll do everything. Yeah. Don't worry.
that's what they're asking me earlier about, like, 9mm, and I'm like, well, like Honey Badger and SMG. It's like, well,
It comes up.
yeah, and it's cool, but 300 black. So you want it because you don't want to pay for 300 blackout ammo.
Now let me just put this out there. It's not me. Because I'm not putting it
It's the internet.
It's the internet.
I want
And-
cheap ammo too. I get it.
But these, I love 300 blackout.
Yeah.
But it's the folks that are like, oh, we love it. We love the concept of it, but we want something that's quiet, that's a little bit cheaper to
Yeah.
shoot.
One of the other questions was a Q handgun. Like, hey, is it Q?
Yeah.
That
Be
was the other
cool.
thing.
I mean, there's not too many people more qualified than Ethan to do a handgun, but it's like,
We designed most of one in 2017.
yeah,
Like,
there's
you gotta
22 that I
Make a
want.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked
And we
about
did that
for
one too.
Oh yeah. So for
Integral gun.
yeah, so It's like we probably would prefer, if it's just fun for shooting, which is cool, we'd probably prefer a 22 or something over a 9mm.
And you said integral, right?
Well, I think we just have to constantly decide what cool shit we're going to work on next. Like, I think a 9mm is a great idea, but I'd rather make you a megafix, or I'd rather make you the boombox. For now, it's just like what do you have resources to do, and what's cool enough to do.
Mm-hmm.
And where is there a need in the industry? And I think there is a need for good 22s, and we've talked about them, and they've got a great concept for one, and they did almost all of it. And I would also love to do a line of like super inexpensive guns, and a 22 might fall into it. Like, one of the most fun guns I have is a single shot 22.
Yeah.
Right. And so how do we do one of those to make it where it would retail at whatever, $250, but it's ergonomically fantastic, but it's a single shot and set up for a silencer, because all the cheap stuff is like ergonomically is all fucked up. It's not good, so you don't enjoy shooting it. It's just novel. But it's like, how do we do that? Because if we're all sitting around hanging out at the barbecue, like a single shot 300 blackout or 8.6 is about the most fun you can have. 22 is also wonderful. So how do we put a Q touch on something like that where everyone can afford? Like, who wants a single shot 22? Who wanted a single shot 300 blackout? Like, everybody wants you shoot it, but you don't know until you do it. And we could do a single shot 22 rifle, pistol, where everyone would want, you would have to have it.
Right. Wow.
And it's just, so for me, I came up with this concept for this line of like rim fires that are single shot, or maybe it's a double barrel, but it's ergonomically wonderful, easy to manufacture, but all the work goes into the front end with these guys. That's where the expense is, but then we can do a volume of them.
I'm real expensive.
Yeah, but you're worth it. That's why you get that money. But put the work in on the front end, and then it's like, oh, well, why is that $250? I can buy this single shot 22 for $100. Well, yeah, you can. But just like the fix, you can get, Remington bolt action where the stock doesn't fold, it's not adjustable, it's a 90-degree throw. You can't switch. The barrel doesn't have AR ergonomics, no detachable mag. Sure, it's accurate just like this. That's a cool fucking story. But you hear Mitch, he don't want to carry Remington around. That's what he did when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway.
I love it.
What are you going to carry in Africa?
Well, I have identical sort of setup.
Everybody's going to Africa except you worked at the wrong time.
Well, my 20-inch gun just went. So that's a 8-inch 8.6. But once you start hunting subsonic, there's like, you don't go back.
Yeah,
it's not. It's less interesting, I should say. Like just the chance to be close to animals and not scare them away.
Yeah.
So the only difference is you're using the 3.6 to 18. He's using the 2 to 10.
Yeah, we haven't left yet.
They normally do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we do a lot of switching around. Well, where did my 20-inch gun went?
And you're taking Mitch, you're carrying a 24-inch 6.5, and Nick, you're carrying a 20-inch.
Pack it?
Yeah. This is what he's talking about. So he'll carry a subsonic 8.6 gun and then pack this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we hunt together a lot, so we'll trade back and forth. Basically, we want to go out with one guy with a long range gun and one guy's short.
Right.
One guy's spotting or running a camera. I mean, it's awesome to get every shot on film. So
Right. Yeah.
if I'm not calling his dope or spotting for him, I'll be running the camera, and then if we leave the truck, this goes on my back.
Right.
And
Everly
just
stock bag too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
How long
nice.
you guys there for?
Yeah.
2 weeks. I think we're hunting 11 days.
Yeah. That's cool. That's super cool. No, Smitten Bender too. I see you, man. All right.
Yeah, you gotta know something heavy. It should be the glass.
Yeah,
Where did my gun go?
yeah, look
But
at
even
here.
still,
That's
like,
cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
not your favorite for running around the bush. That's why we carry the 8.6s for primary, but still,
Right.
it folds up pretty easy, and you're still. It's better than most traditional bolt guns.
This gun's probably still only 6 or 6.5 pounds out of that optic.
With that out, that's bad house.
That optic's
Yo,
heavy.
that is
Ooh, it's
nuts. Yeah.
Never seen a Smith & Bender.
So the idea is if you're hunting in the bush or something,
Right.
and you're gonna shoot 200-300 yards, you have the 8.6, but every time that's all you have, you see something you want to shoot at 700-800
Yeah.
yards.
I feel like I could hold that out there almost all day.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
when
and
you're
that's-
spotting too, if
Yeah.
you've got a good scope, you can
Right.
do it. You do it with that.
Right. Dude, that Again, perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Oh, I said it over here.
Like what I'm saying, dude. That thing is. That's nifty.
Everything that I've held is heavier than my MCX.
Oh, you mean?
I mean,
your MCX
my
is heavier.
MCX is heavier.
Just the upper alone of your
Just
MCX
the upper alone
is heavier than this whole gun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's his 20-inch field.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is wild.
That's like the. I feel like that's
Oh.
a very correct.
Yeah.
You also have the heaviest scope made.
Yeah,
on
yeah. I mean, that's the heaviest scope we'll take.
Yeah.
But who gets done with a tangent theta?
Yeah.
Jelly ain't the word.
Yeah.
This is probably a great overall gun and length. The 20-inch 6.5 with the proof barrel, they do such a good job with barrels.
Yeah.
And you just get, we've three of us hunted a lot over there with 16-inch 6.5, but yeah, 20-inch just gives you that
Extra little.
more.
Yeah.
We were shooting last weekend, and there's a little bit of wind at 500 yards, and I had some customers out here that were shooting 16-inch fixtures.
Yeah.
They did fine, but then I just got behind that 24-inch. And it's just
Makes it
a
easy.
laser.
Yeah.
So I see you guys run a lot of proof barrels. Is it you guys make the barrels?
No, we do our own
Yeah.
barrels. The proof barrel, if you're gonna have a long barrel and you want a light gun, the carbon proof barrels are incredible for that. The downside is you shoot, 7-10 shots rapid fire, they heat up, you'll start stringing rounds.
Right.
For hunting applications, that
perfect.
rarely or never is
Found that one
the
about
problem.
Yeah.
And proof is just, they're so great at consistency and just their processes
Okay.
and their barrels when they show up. Like if we put a barrel on a gun and that gun didn't shoot half MO, it would be shocking to us at this point. And we're talking, this is thousands of barrels at this point. They're all steel barrels, which their heavy barrels in this length too are great for going to the range and shooting. It's just heavy because it's all steel. If it's a short barrel and it's a proof, it's 16 inches, you may only save 2 ounces. Here, he's probably saving a pound or so.
Right.
Probably more.
Yeah, there's very little advantage in at a 16-inch proof versus our 16-inch steel barrel.
Yeah.
So I'm taking.
But once you go longer at all,
Yeah.
you're saving real. I mean, the fastest way to make a gun lighter is cut the barrel off.
Right.
But that's the barrel I just took off of that gun, so I've been hunting that barrel for 4 years, which is why it's covered in Africa and New Zealand and blood. But
That's awesome. I love it.
and I don't know, I've got several thousand through it and trying something different.
Yeah.
Well, we tried tallying up how many kills we had through, because we took these guns prairie dog hunting a couple years ago and killed 1,500 prairie dogs in 3 days between 4 of us.
Golly,
We
yeah.
figured that barrel's got to have close to 600-700 bodies in it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're counting. If you're counting.
If you
Well,
count.
that's a 6.5 Creedmoor. How many rounds do you think you have through it?
I don't. Somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 likely.
And it was, what did it shoot? Like what size groups were you shooting when you took it off?
When I built that gun to hunt New Zealand 4 years ago, and it never did shoot primo. It was like a .7 point. It was always a 3/4 inch gun, but it was consistent enough we'd use it as a reference gun. Like if we had a question about an ammo lot, I'm like, go shoot it in that, because if it doesn't shoot 3/4, you got an ammo problem.
Yeah.
And it's just now starting to open up to like 1 1/4 inch, which is less interesting. So new barrel time.
Wow. Yeah, but that's a lot of rounds
That is.
for that cartridge.
Yeah, and I did not take care of it. Like
Think of that prairie dog. That day we
Ooh, they
we
get
started
hot.
shooting, we got our guns. I mean, we're dumping bush light on guns, trying to cool them down.
We're shooting 90 round turns, so literally shoot 90 rounds, switch guns,
Yeah.
shoot 90.
That's ridiculous.
I shot him until he couldn't hit anything. The bores open up and they start spraying bullets. I'm like, all right, gotta give it
Next.
20, 30 minutes.
It was the last day. We were trying to make sure we didn't leave with ammo.
Yeah.
Every bullet went into a body.
They were going with one of our customers, one of our dealers in North Dakota, prairie dog hunting, and I was like, there's 3 of them. 3 of the engineers went. I was like, you guys won't shoot 100 prairie dogs. They're like, oh, we're gonna shoot 1,000. I was like, It's
You
like,
put money on
I'll
it.
bet you $100 a piece. You don't. Before lunch the first day, they ordered on Amazon these little clickers, the counters. Before lunch the first day, it's 3 little clickers and they're over 100. I was like, oh wow.
It was a good trip.
Probably still owe you 100
But that's probably some of the first 1,000 rounds through that barrel were load development and that hunt. And then it's also shot I don't know, 40, 50, 60 big game animals in the last. These springbuck culls really get your counts up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we get to cull a lot in Africa too.
Yeah.
So we'll go, like this trip we're going to where we cull springbuck. It's on some sheep lands and they want to shoot 120 in one day. So, you know, and it's not like shooting, I don't know, pigs or something. Like springbuck generally don't get close, and so that'll be a challenge. I don't know, we've only shot, maybe the most was right at 80 in a day. So this will be tough.
80 more than I've ever done, that's for sure.
And yeah, and that's just like a driven situation where we're in a fixed position. That's not in a helicopter or anything. It'll be a good day.
Oh man, that sounds exciting. You guys document it
2 days.
typically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last video we dropped is a springbuck cull video. All the ones where they fall down real fast, it's me.
Yeah, there's another, it's a 3D printed version, but that's a direct scope mount for the fix that
yes.
Reptilia's doing
Yep.
for us. So you wouldn't need, like
the
that,
picket
we
fence.
use Reptilia mounts, they're great, but you wouldn't need to have the mount and the 1913 rail, just replace that.
So it's a direct, yeah, so check that out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Just another, you know, point where you have tolerance stack and extra
Right.
weight on the gun that we can eliminate that makes sense.
That is, yeah, I'm excited to see a complete build of like that 8.6 and with nothing but the QERT.
And this is cool, you know, Eric Burt, who started Reptilia and owns it. So he worked with me and Ethan when we did the Honey Badger. He's a co-designer on the Honey Badger.
Yeah.
So that's part of our relationship.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool.
So that was like, he hadn't been out of college long when we did that.
Yeah, well, Reptilia's accessories have always been really high quality stuff. I've always liked their grips and things like that too. So
Yeah, his grip is the original Honey Badger grip.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, yeah, and so their business from the beginning has been doing stuff for like the British military.
Yeah.
So like that new KS1 or whatever, that Knight's gun, it's covered in their accessories.
Yep. The KS1's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's cool. I love it, but it's an 8-pound 5.56.
Yeah. Yeah.
So probably not something we would do, but it was a requirement. Knights is a great, awesome company, which inspires me. And if they had to do a 8-pound 5.56, that firing schedule and accuracy requirement must be pretty. Oh, there's a 5.56 can.
Oh, hey.
That one's 5 3/4 pounds
Yeah.
with the can.
Yeah.
5 pounds without the can.
Look at that. That's just a. Huh. How about it? Feels good. I like it.
We can. There's somewhere are all of those.
9.69 inch barrel,
Yeah.
just because.
Just because.
That's actually what looks cool in the handguard.
Makes sense.
Can't make it much shorter, we run out of gas.
All right. Yeah, you're right there at it. Yeah.
It's our new 2-piece flash hider system.
Yeah, he was explaining that to us.
Bases torque down the front comes off.
Right. That is super cool.
What do you need? I was gonna take that can off. Oh, here's the prototype, so you guys can.
Got a cherry.
Oh, you got that one on?
Yeah.
Oh, look at
Camera.
you. So, okay, so here's a CGS and a silencer code. You can,
That's funny.
Kind of gaming.
Feel
mode
the
with
weight.
that Helio.
Yep. Yeah, so you feel those. Okay. That's funny. Nice. Silencer code. CGS.
Well, it's an extra 10 years because the
That's
M4
fire.
2000 still is the baseline sound, so nothing's quieter.
Jeez.
So we're still shooting M4 2000. This is as quiet as an M4 2000. With this end cap, this is actually a fireball maker.
Really?
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. But without it, it's actually pretty quiet with the flat skin cap.
So what's the
It's not small.
what's the hold up, no, might not want to say this. What's the official name?
That's the Southpaw.
Southpaw.
Yeah. And the lefty's a different can, which I don't. There were some prototypes that were tested.
Right in that blue van if you want to
Oh yeah.
show things that are nowhere.
That's crazy. Close, real close.
Yeah, so we were hoping to drop these at the same time, but they can take a little longer because we're doing a lot of endurance testing. So
Right.
this is Ace Inconel, blast baffle Inconel in cap. Like,
Okay.
it has to do so many things. A
Right.
5.56 can,
Right.
it just has to do a lot, so it takes some time.
Oh, here, let me trade you. I'll take.
And we just
So
dropped
there's
the
an M4 2000, and that's one of our. I'll take these
Yep.
back. Sorry. And then this is.
Hey, you know that one.
So the Hux can,
Yeah.
which is good low blowback.
Yeah.
It's loud. It's small. It's stout, and this is what we're headed toward as an answer to that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
Yeah, look at that little
that's
guy. Yeah.
quieter than that,
Yeah.
lighter than that, less or equal. We'll do at equal blowback reduction. There's a couple different ways you can get there, but flow through is not necessarily the only way.
Right. That's cool.
I'm only seeing
The
one well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's one. So there's a weld at the front. You just welding the tube over the stack.
Okay. Oh, okay,
Got
okay.
it. The
Okay, so
stack.
how many are in the stack do you have?
Hard
6?
to explain.
Okay.
The stack looks like this.
Holy
So
fuck. What?
that's inside there.
Yeah.
So you see you're
I'll
slipping
give
the
those
tube
back
in a
to
little bit.
you.
And this
Thank
is
you.
just us toying around, but
Yeah.
we have
So
our,
this-
we have our own metal 3D printer, so
Right.
we're making that baffle stack sort of like that.
Ah, that's cool. Yeah. Dude, that is nifty.
So it's
I am-
capture flow.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Kevin was talking about the capture
Yeah.
flow through.
I don't see the point in doing a 3D printed can unless you're getting something actually different out of it. Like a lot of people are 3D printing pretty much machined baffles.
Right.
So we're definitely trying new stuff, how to use the 3D printer for what it's really for, which is make
Wow.
things you can't machine.
Yeah, you're, yeah.
And that's really cool mounted up too. You should screw it on there because it's tiny. It's very
Right.
small.
So,
And once again, like the flow through, it's not as quiet as this.
right.
It depends on what you're using,
Using
it
it
for.
for.
But if you are okay with what the Hux does, you're going to be very happy with what.
But
this
look how
does.
small this is. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knights came out with that new can, and it was made for the Brits who run the 13,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's not actually a silencer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thing is, I don't really get it.
It's like a
these kids today.
compensator.
I don't get it.
But yeah, you get the idea. You're small.
Look how small that is.
Hey, I'm used to hearing that. Come on, man.
This flash reduction.
That makes one of us, huh?
Yeah, sorry, player.
We call it the lefty, but
Yeah.
I call it the chode.
Please call it the chode.
Yeah, I mean,
please
that is
call it the
that
chode.
is such a great.
Please,
I will call it the chode forever.
please.
Y'all
You're
heard
not
it
in
here.
marketing, so it doesn't matter what
I know.
you say about names.
What's smaller than a shrimp? I don't know.
Crawfish?
Popcorn shrimp?
Popcorn shrimp. The crawl
baby
daddy.
shrimp?
Call it the crawl daddy. Yeah, the crawl daddy.
Crawl daddy.
Yeah.
Smaller than a shrimp.
It depends on how shrimp.
Oh, that's true.
What kind of crawdad?
A crawl daddy. I like that.
Crawl daddy.
Yeah, crawdad.
I like that.
It's all right. Classic will get it and call it the crawl daddy. It's all right.
Low key.
Official term, the lefty. But when the classic guy's around, it's the crawl daddy.
Crawl daddy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Dude, that's adding nothing at the muzzle. Yeah.
This is nuts. This is.
So that's a whole package under 5.5 pounds.
Yeah.
With
He really loves the rattler.
I don't hate the rattler.
It's cool. Listen. I can nerd that. I'm not. Trust me, I'm not. I'm not. It's because of what you did with the whole ordeal. So when I said, when I saw that video and I was so enamored by what is this? I have to have it. Because I literally would go on Clone Rifles and be like, all right, which one am I gonna do today? All right, cool. Hellval, awesome. And then obviously Honey Badger was in the whole aspect of it. So that's just me. I like when minds come together for a certain thing that was said, because this is saying, hey, we've got a problem. Can you guys find a solution? Okay, well here's the solution. So to me, that's what innovation is. Not just because I feel like dartboarding something today. You know what I'm saying? You guys do what you do, and you do it very well. So
Yeah, the M6 it's a great gun. It's a cool gun. It's just, if we were in charge of the MCX program, it would just be much lighter weight.
I believe it.
And without, and you could do it without sacrificing, like the overall integrity of that gun.
Yeah.
It's just, where do you stop and go into production? Or if you have the right guys on it.
Very
But
true.
The guy that was in charge of the MCX program, he just did not, it was built to a requirement, and he did not give any value to it being lighter. It didn't matter to him at all. So he wasn't going to put any effort into it. Even when the military talked to him, I talked to him, changed the requirement. I think I told you guys that on
Yeah.
the podcast. And it's like, well, if that guy's in charge, then that's what that gun's going to be. So, and things like we're talking about over here, like doing a one-piece upper with the rail and like that gets very difficult. Like, why are you making the rail one piece? Okay, you want it to be stiff and rigid and all that. Okay, so it's going to be heavy. Or you can do it like this and tie it all together, and it gets, the handguard gets really stiff and rigid.
Right.
You don't have to have the extra weight, but it's easy to tell people when you do it one piece, oh, it's rigid and always aligned, like all this shit that they'll say. Yeah, not really. Like, maybe if you machine it perfectly, but it also is going to weigh a pound more. Like LMT, I love LMT. This gun's great. I would never freaking use one of them. Like, and they're switching the barrel. It's cool. I like it. But the gun's just, their 5.56 gun weighs more than a 308 should, and their 308's what a 338 Lapua Magnum should weigh. So I'm like, I'm not going to carry that gun around. So what use is it to me? Like, it's not that they don't build quality stuff. It's just, you guys have experienced, especially I think you've shot 8.6 and you guys have handled the boombox.
Yeah.
Like, when you handle the Honey Badger and how light it is, or the fix, like I can talk about it on a video and describe it to you.
Right.
It doesn't register until you pick it up, but it's the thing everyone says when they handle our guns.
Right.
And it doesn't come easy. You don't see us skeletonizing or just using titanium or whatever the thing would be.
Right.
You have to start from the beginning with the design, and that's why, again, the Honey Badger is so expensive. Every part on that gun is unique,
Right.
because that's what it took to make it the best, the most reliable, and the lightest weight without sacrificing, accuracy or the handguard being stiff or whatever the thing is.
And then there's the one
Durability.
Yeah, there's the aspect of handling it, and then there's the aspect of actually getting the experience to shoot it too. And I'll always say this: the cherry bomb, that is a monster, right?
Yeah, the greatest silencer salesman there is.
Yes, makes sense. But then you do throw the suppressor on it. We've shot the Trash Panda on the Honey Badger plenty of times, and then it's like, this is what it's supposed to be.
It's a system, like making a system, because we're thinking about right now, actually, from a marketing standpoint, because I did a video a couple of weeks ago, one of my YQs, where someone took one of our 22 or 24 inch barrels that was probably shooting 1/2 inch. They cut it down to 18, 9-degree shoulder, their gunsmith did it, and it was probably a proof barrel. And then they put on shims and a dead air muzzle brake, and then they sent it back to us for accuracy issues. Like, you cut 6 inches off the barrel, Holmes, like, you recrown it, you re-shoulder it, and you put on a dead air muzzle device and silencer with shims. What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Right. Yeah. You've taken,
I can put another barrel like you had on it and send it to you and charge you for that. And so these are the things we're into. So we're thinking about, us building a system like Knights builds a system.
Right.
So, like, how do we sell you our gun and give you our silencer so you don't do dumb shit like put a dead air silencer on our gun and get away from our tapered muzzle and all these things that provide you with alignment and keeping your silencer secure without relying on latches and glues and shit. Maybe the thing I need to do is you buy a system from us. Like, you buy the gun, I'm going to give you a silencer, so you don't do that anymore. Like, it's hard to get people, because we all love the direct thread silencers on the tapered muzzle.
Yes.
Because then you eliminate just a whole nother variable of tolerance stacking and stuff. So that's how you're going to get the most consistent accuracy and least point of impact shift and all. Like, you're not going to shoot. That's why the cherry bomb can be compact and loud. Like, why would you shoot it without a silencer? Just don't even do it.
Just don't do it. Right. I love it. I love it.
This is wow.
This should be the most the most unreliable gun we build. An under 10-inch barrel, short operating system, 5.56 impingement. That is probably the most reliable gun we've built today. Because we knew it going into it, and it took them a year or whatever to build this.
Right.
anybody, you can build one that works pretty quick. Okay, well then let's build 3. Let's go shoot them. Let's do a little durability testing, reliability testing. And we, I think I said on your podcast, doing high-speed video of every round shot. Okay, so then let's build 10.
Right. And
let's do, 2 rounds a second. Okay, let's do 10,000 rounds like that, and document all that stuff. And so, when we have a failure, they have a video, high-speed video of the failure, so we know exactly what happened every time. Was it a magazine? Was it an ammo problem? Was it a feed ramp problem? Is it the gas system? Is the bolt fucked up, And you can diagnose it that way. And so we can really learn from it and make a better gun.
Right.
So that gun is insanely reliable and probably shouldn't be, and it wouldn't be if you didn't do all that.
Yeah, it's like a bumblebee that shouldn't fly, but there it goes. It does it, and it does it really, really well. Because, dwell time, what is that? You know what I mean? And then you see it, and you, like you said, it has everything going against it, but here it is doing exactly what you want to do it. Want for it to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is wow.
Dude, that's
I've never been really speechless before when it comes to shit.
I made that Lizzo comment.
Yeah.
that was funny.
Yeah.
That was good.
And y'all are ceasing to amaze me, and
They are ceasing to amaze you?
No, we don't want to see it.
y'all aren't ceasing to amaze me, but flabbergasted is like an understatement.
That's what I said when we were walking out.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't use that term lightly.
Yeah,
well, first of all, it's a fun word, right? So you can't use it too much or it's not going to be fun anymore.
Right, but it's
flabbergasted leaving
truly
the other facility. It's like, dude, this is cool. Seeing again just how meticulous everybody is, how much pride goes into the work. You guys obviously are passionate about it, and it's super cool to see.
Others, the dream, you do it.
Well, I think we get a little flack for making expensive range toys, which we do. Really kick ass. But it's real too. I'm surprised even me, but that gun will run 55 grain Remington to 77 grain Black Hills, suppressed, unsuppressed, without changing the gas. Blow your mind. Just shoot it and shoot it and shoot it and shoot it.
Yeah, it's a lot of things I think people take for granted. A lot of things that people take for granted. Like you buy an AR-15, of course it should run those. Okay, cut the receiver extension down and reduce the operating system. Okay, cut the barrel down.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can make the gun run. Period.
Yeah.
So when we talk about making the boom box, we wanted to make just a 16-inch 308 easy day. Mitch would have been done probably 6 months ago, but you want to have a 12-inch 308, a 16-inch 308, a 6.5 and 12-inch and 16-inch. You want to have 8.6 super and sub, 6, 8, 12, 16 inches. Okay, that's that last 5 yards we talked about on the podcast. You can make one gun that does whatever you want, maybe, but
we took a gun to 8,500, redesigned the recoil system, and started over.
Yeah,
it wasn't good enough.
Right. Yeah. Well.
And our firing schedule is insane. We're using 6 mag, 2 rounds a second firing schedule. By the time we're done, the titanium cans are on fire. The titanium's on fire.
Yeah.
And we found out all kinds of fun stuff. After about the 5K mark, you start finding all kinds of real interesting things.
Yeah.
And ARs are really tough, very well developed. Making tiny ones is a different gig altogether.
Yeah, well, you found that out when they started cutting the barrels down, especially down to for the Mark 18 being 10.3. They had to, how they had to overhaul things there, open up that gas port, so you just get all that gas in there to make it cycle.
Everybody overgasses like crazy, and
because that's the easy fix. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Gladly.
That's where we talk about, you see when we start doing these things and you realize things that no one's ever said or discovered. It's like, okay, people don't really shoot how they say.
Yeah.
And that's when we talk about the barrel. Okay, if you shoot a barrel out, I'll just send your gun in, I'll give you a free barrel. So you have a great barrel the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You just keep buying the ammo, it's fine.
Right.
We can replace your barrels, that's easy. So why go to a hard chrome barrel where you're gonna shoot 4 MOA when you could shoot 1 MOA?
Mm-hmm.
It's a stupid compromise for some Armageddon scenario that you're never gonna if you only have 1,000 rounds of ammo in your house, like you're never gonna shoot a barrel out. So just stop talking to me about that.
Right.
Like if you do, fine, send it back. You get a free barrel. It's
Yeah,
cool.
I made that joke in our intro for how to maintain your gun. It's like, oh my God, I shoot my gun twice a year. I need to make sure I scrub the shit out of this thing, you know? So Nick, take it away from really quick to show the difference, because yes, I have taken apart a honey badger before, but this one is different than that one.
So the same principle as far as the carrier slips into the receiver extension, but the old system of inserting the spring guide into the back of the carrier as you do that is changed. So now you can just slap them together instead of having to compress that spring first, hold it with your finger, figure out what you're going to do with your finger, launch it across the room, spaghetti the spring. We know, we've done it all. So.
Yes, and that was my biggest issue with the older design, which I mean, still you get there, right? But you just saw me do. Well, you guys can't because YouTube's dumb. But you just saw me do as far as just putting this together, all just standing right here. I didn't have to have a third set of hands or bench it or anything like that.
It just takes a little finesse.
It does, and we know that too. We've put together hundreds of them. We're always the same. We're like, just you figure it out.
It really came down to the evolution of the carrier. Like in the beginning, we were using mil-spec carriers that were modified for the honey badger.
Yeah.
So we were limited to what we could do on the back half of the carrier and where the spring could live. So as we moved to that two-piece carrier, when we split it in half, we have a rear end of the carrier that we can put whatever spring, buffer, and whole system that we want. So.
Right.
And it's that realization that got us to a boombox.
Yeah.
And it was the boombox recoil system that got us to this one. So it's a little round and round,
wow.
but it's like
I started working on the boombox like 2.5 years ago and made the carrier system like you're holding in your hand a lot bigger for the boombox, and then we're like, man, we should just do this in the honey badgers.
Yeah, and here we are.
Round and round we go.
Yeah.
God himself loves engineers, remember that.
What's interesting, Mitch and I started on the two-piece carrier like during COVID at the bar at his house.
That bar.
It's that bar. Trying to figure out how we could get carriers during COVID. It was a manufacturing problem, not a design problem. Like,
It's like a supply chain thing.
yeah, like
wow.
honey badger carriers are
So out of necessity,
170,000
you got
shorter.
to fuck it.
And we couldn't get custom carriers. Like everybody's like, nah, everybody's buying standards. We don't care about. We're not going to make you a honey badger carrier. So we designed the two-piece carrier so that we could source it at regular machine shops instead of at the 3 or 4 major carrier manufacturers.
Yeah.
Solve that problem, get to boombox, get to fun.
What
like,
did I just
round
say?
and round you go.
There's a problem that we have. No problem.
Yeah, yeah, there it is. COVID will inspire innovation as well. How
It
about
will.
that?
Oh, I mean, you guys are familiar with the jam nut system that we introduced on the honey badger back OG, I guess, and that uses an index pin, right? So we use this index pin to align the gas block when we're tightening down the nut.
Right.
So, and you can see it on this gun. That system, as well as it is sealed here and everywhere else, always leaks right where that index pin is. You see the black on the barrel, and you got your traditional leak points on a traditional pinned-in gas tube. Then they're always like that, and every gas block leaks, no matter what.
Yeah.
But it really starts to matter if you're trying to make a 300 blackout sub to super gun that's going to run with the least amount of adjustment. Like every little leak you pay for in gas port size or ammo that you can't shoot. So the boombox system is like doubles down on that, and Mitch can tell you a little better.
Yeah, so I ended up doing a flare on the gas tube, and originally, because I mean, we love tapers, they seal really great. So originally we dropped the gas tube through the front of the gas block. I've actually got like that was the first idea, is like we'll drop them in through the front and they'll come out the back, and then we use the screw to seal it in, which worked pretty good, but we still saw some leak around that screw. So just recently Nick changed it to where we now come on the back, and it's just got a little nut that this one's actually threaded with it. Yeah.
So now you can tape it.
So yeah, now everything, like the thread, we're actually pulling on that taper. It's like a sandwich of tapers. So
about that? Yeah.
it seals it pretty good. And then we eliminated the pin on the bottom of the gas, or the bottom of the barrel was a leak point for the honey badger. But with this one, I moved the pin to the top, and then I clocked with some material underneath that gas tube. So just was a better orientation of that one. Doesn't have
Got no pins.
Yeah.
Go handy. So now we're sealed, the least amount of leak lets us. It's more versatility for the rest. And
So
you
now
can
the-
even see in that one, like
Yeah.
how clean it is around there.
Like now the pin's on the top right now, and you can see there's no leak around that. And then you still, like, this is where, you know, there is a path that the gas gets out through that, the threads around the gas block jam nut, but it seals up pretty good. Like, you start seeing that jet initially, and then as you shoot and carbon fills those threads, which happens pretty quick. You know,
Right.
Like it's totally sealed up. So
There's some history there too, right, Kev? I mean, like if you look back through AR development, different people paid a lot of attention to gas sealing over the years. Like it's definitely a known thing.
Yeah, when you start going short, it becomes more important, or all these things where your dwell time, decreases. Yeah, and like he says, if you want to do more ammos, sure, you can buy whatever $600 AR is going to work with this ammo. You always buy a 55 grain, but you start wanting to do a lot of different things or have a short barrel. I mean, it's all of that. It always comes back to that last 5% is where all the money is. All these things that they're doing. This is why this gun's different. Like, make no mistake, the Honey Badger looks like an AR. The Boombox looks like an AR. What it took, the work that it took to make this gun lightweight and reliable and work with different ammos and super and subsonic, that's 90% of the money of this gun. And it's why no one's done a gun like this. It's why no one has a 5-pound gun, or a 6-pound, pick the barrel length. It's why all these guns weigh 9 pounds. That's easy. Like, we could have done that in a month. But getting to this, it's years of work and dedication to it. And then, just the idea, you want a 308 and an 8.6, you want super and subsonic. You want an 8-inch barrel and a 16-inch barrel. Okay, that's what separates, that's why there's probably 3 companies in the world that could do this if they devoted themselves to it. And everybody can make a 16-inch 308, big deal. Like, if you don't have a weight requirement, you're only going to use this one ammo. Okay, that's easy.
Yeah, you could probably half a dozen pins and a grip, and there's no other AR parts on that gun.
Right.
So nothing.
Yeah, you think about then how much harder does it get? Not only did you cut it off here, cut the thing off here.
Right.
Hell, that's way harder than cutting it off here, probably.
Right.
Like, that's freaking bullshit. They probably hate me for wanting this stock on gun.
I kind of love it. It's like, you look at it, some people complain about the Honey Badger stock.
Well, we made it shorter than you asked us for.
Yeah.
We had the opportunity to.
Overachievers. After my own heart.
That little bit of extra, like, cheek weld,
Yeah,
It's
it's
nice.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, because people complain about the Honey Badger stock, and yeah, I agree, it sucks if you want to shoot precision. But if you want the smallest, lightest thing that you can deploy quickly and put in a small little bag, the length and all comes off somewhere.
Right.
It just does. But yeah, this gun eventually, it'll be great to have, one with just a traditional extension and, whatever AR stocks you want to put on it and stuff like that. If you want a 16-inch gun, why have this stock? I agree.
Yeah.
Like, that'll be a great gun. Talk about hunting a predator gun.
14 or 16-inch, like 6 Creedmoor, maybe a little bit longer even. That's going to change the night hunting game for real, I think. Like, nobody's offering a 308 that's actually, or 308 AR-10 size gun that's light and actually fun to carry around. Like,
No, yeah, and you're right. They'll have a comfortable stock. It'll be 6 pounds, full length, 4-end and rail. And that's, again, night hunting. When you want to have lasers and stuff mounted to it. That's why you want the stiffest rail. That's why you want QERT.
Yeah.
I don't know, it is interesting, like, guys that'll spend a lot of money on a gun, then use S&B ammo. Or you get a $10,000 thermal and a $5,000 laser, and then you get a cheap tripod. Or, you get something, you get that laser and you put it on a shitty handguard that deflects, it mounts M-lock or whatever. Well, it's probably best that you spend the money on all of it and not just the thermal capability, because it's cool to see the animal, but I really want to shoot the animal. That's the thing.
Well, it's a collaboration of a multitude of different devices and products to get the desired effect. People, I think, might miss that, and that's why development for like the boombox and all these other guns, and the Honey Badger especially, that's why they are what they are and have become what they've become and gotten the reputation that they have, I think. The charging handle is something kind of cool on what we've got on the boombox receiver over here, because you guys found that, and we did the entire test. We just had this conversation off camera, but I figured we need to show it because it's interesting. Because we had that entire video where we talked about which charging handle will deliver the least amount of gas back to the face, because on a DI platform you're going to have that on, well, just about any platform that has that AR style charging handle. Show off that one there where you guys found that it's actually the gas is traveling, you know, through all the little crevices and everything in the charging handle, and that's why you sealed off the back end of that charging handle.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, Nick said it earlier, that direct line of sight, or I should say direct path of gas to your face through the charging handle. Some, you know, charging handles have cuts that, you know, actually access the interior of the upper and shoot out the back. So with this one, we deviated pretty far from mil spec, but you gotta set a limit on making sure that users are still familiar with the controls and the layout of the handle. So it was a little back and forth on how far we wanted to go and make it different. So this is kind of where we ended up, where it's an ambidextrous 2-latch system that seals off the gas, you know, through the charging handle as best we can. And then we also added a bumper on the top of the charging handle, so which does create a little bit of a seal. Like it's definitely going to hug around the top of the charging handle, but what that really ended up doing was keeping the handle still during recoil. So like this is a 2-part thing. Yeah, sure, it seals the gas as best it can, but the main purpose of this charging handle is a latch that stays put and doesn't wear out. So pretty much every gun we've ever worked on has had issues with the charging handle at some point. The latch system, you know, the AR charging handle is kind of a band-aid or a afterthought on the M16. Originally it was a shark fin charging handle and the carry handle. So
I'll show the completed one there so they can see that piece there. That's that silicone, or is that just
it's a TPU.
Yeah. And so that's there offering a little bit of a buffer, and then you see that latch. That's what Kevin was showing earlier, and that's
so it's a steel,
cool.
You know, it's a steel insert that latch is locking into. Which means that it's never going to wear out like your aluminum latch surface would in a regular M4. But importantly, too, these latches are balanced about the pivot. So we did a lot of that.
It's just like the fixed trigger.
When
I showed you guys that,
balance.
like balancing things. These guys are about balancing.
We like balance.
Like balance.
You don't say.
Yeah.
But
balance and tapers.
Either side of the charging handle latch is never going to stop in the same spot, because the center of mass of that part is right on the pivot. So.
And building a super lightweight gun, it starts to expose a lot of the things that are borderline okay with the AR platform. And the latch was one. They built a light gun. They're like, holy shit, the charging handle won't stay latched. Again, high-speed video. You know, these guys are watching every round and they're seeing the charging handle wobble and bounce around. So, okay, we've got to stop that. And so that's I don't know. Was that probably the driving force in this?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
handle in the nose is a pretty good motivator.
Like the very first. I mean, we got into the first endurance testing, like actually shooting the gun for real, and like I don't think we would have caught it as soon as we did if we hadn't had the high-speed camera. Like we filmed everything, like the entire
Because you guys were, I mean, I remember Ethan was in here and you guys for a couple of weeks, like going over what the hell's going on. Yeah, so even with the high-speed video, it was like, you guys didn't want to, or maybe you guys didn't want to believe it yet.
It's a big part of the project. It's taken months of work to get it perfected.
Recoil, when they showed you balance, like these things, if not balanced, they're rattling around on latch. You know, and so if you can keep the charging handle from moving this way and those things from moving this way,
I've been popped in the face by a charging handle before because it's coming back, especially under full auto. It's sitting there, you're like, oh god,
So and then we're like, well, the Knight's gun doesn't do that. And we grabbed it and filmed it, and it does. We're like, oh, okay. That's not our. It's not just.
It's just happening so fast that the charging handle.
308s get lighter and lighter. It just is more prone to happen.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, look how small and light that is.
Right.
It didn't require. Didn't
No, actually, I had it
require
all
a
modeled.
complicated solution.
I'd switched. Well, I was working on this valve, right? Where's my valve?
I remember it's here on one of the guns.
He's got it.
Yeah, no, I was working on the on a valve system for a different thing, and then so I did the outside, and then Mitch is like, "Why didn't you just cut all that mass off the front?" I was like, "That's a great idea."
Yeah, see, teamwork.
Yeah,
That's a good
that's it.
thing.
I should do that.
You're never as smart as the both of you
I
are.
did it right then.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I know, but you know, you think about what goes into every little piece of this gun,
Right.
and I think it's the great thing about any kind of design. It can be art or music or architecture. It's like the subtle things to where you feel something but you don't really know.
Yep.
It's like having this gun, it being lightweight, the recoil impulse being good. You don't get a bunch of gas in the face. Very shootable. It's like, fuck, I love this gun. You don't actually even need to know why.
Yeah.
Do you need to know all the work that went into the charging handle,
Yeah.
or went into QERT, or went into the gas block? Like, it's cool, but you don't need to know to enjoy it, know it's better than something else you're shooting.
Yeah.
You shoot full auto subs though, and you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I tell you, I mean, I told them it's like 22 with a silencer was my favorite thing in the world for a long time.
Oh yeah.
MP5 SD, it's a lot of fun. Then 300 blackout subsonic with a silencer is the most fun you can have. Then even the single shot H&R rifle, handy rifles. Oh my God, can you have more fun than that?
Yeah.
No, until we do 8.6.
Yeah.
And 8.6 makes that seem stupid. It's like twice as fun.
Mini fixing 300 blackout sub is just a blast.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, we were shooting 300 yard, and I was like, I bet I could get 2 bullets in the air. Like you're like
Really quick, yeah, before
stupid.
the one makes impact. Yeah.
really quiet.
Lever
Yeah, and
action
it's
with
cool, but then when you
QERT.
shoot 8.6 at 300 yards, and you hear that impact on steel, and it's no louder, and you have no more recoil, and the gun's no bigger. Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, and then you start shooting animals with it, and things really die.
Yeah, but that's good. Yeah, we talk about that, and it's cool that subsonic rifle,
Lever action.
bullet development has come so
On the
far, and that's
rise.
only because of 300 blackout.
Yeah.
And so then we do 8.6, and these guys jump on it, and yeah, what was that, a Maker's 350?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and the cool thing about rifle bullets and subsonic, they never slow down, and so it pretty much looks like this if you shoot it at 10 yards or 350 yards.
Well, yeah, Just Cause just posted a video of the 350 makers, and he was shooting gel at 230 yards, and it looks just like that, and has 16 inches of penetration. It's like,
That's how you kill anything in the world.
yeah,
with
it's
it.
people are
See,
all these hand loader guys or 8.6, guys that are starting to load it themselves are so concerned about muzzle velocity. They're like, well, you want it to be at a max, but I mean, when a bullet opens up like that at 230 yards at starting muzzle velocity at 950 is that what he said he was around, and like goes 16 inches into ballistic gel. I mean, what more do you want? It's
Well, I think we covered it on the podcast I did with them. When we were out in Wyoming together, I was shooting that 12-inch 8.6 and shooting 1,000 yards. It's like whatever, 1050 at the muzzle, but it's like 900 at 1,000 yards. So a 16-inch 308 is not even 900 at 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Supersonic.
Yeah.
So once you get there, you got a bullet that weighs twice as much that's going faster
Right.
from a subsonic from the beginning.
Yeah.
well, these are
So all you got to be able to do is hit the target, and you're gonna kill it.
Right. Yeah. And I just love the attention to detail and like the little things that you guys do. Like for instance, just having the little cutout there to get to the adjustment, on the rail. Like that's something that's just so thoughtful because there's so many. It's super, like thank you.
big pain in the ass for us, so Mitch cut it off in Hagar. It's not a.
It's not that big of
I
a
told
deal.
you guys with all the fixtures
Yeah.
in the factory, it's
Yeah.
like the way you get good fixturing is you have the engineers assemble the first few thousand
Correct.
guns,
Yeah.
and they will do everything. And that is just we're working on a gas block or a shorter barrel, and he needed to adjust the gas block, so he takes a file and does that. It's like every fucking handguard now has this because
Yep, because
they
it makes
had to
sense.
do it. Yeah.
And this gun doesn't go together like a traditional, like you don't just shotgun it together, but
Right.
like you talk about convenience things. I don't know how many times like I've had people with an AR like this and it swings open and dings the receiver or whatever, and I was just like, well, let's just like make it not do that.
Oh,
like
shit.
this gun doesn't close that way, but someday we might like do a traditional receiver extension. So I was like, well, now the receiver and the handguard is just a perfect match. So you never get like a ding piece of anodizer, like, and it's cool to say.
Well, if you're like me and you're spoiled, I'll sometimes leave my gun like that just to maintain, you know.
Time out.
But that's just like I said,
Time out.
like all the little dots that go behind this stuff. Like,
Time to
Wait
fuck
till
out.
you guys build a fix. You're gonna be amazed.
Hold on. Time to fuck out.
Because I had to
What?
work within an AR.
Like,
little things, they matter.
holy shit.
If you had the ability to change everything that bothers you in your life, what would you do?
Oh my god.
Change
You would
everything that
change
bothers me.
everything you
Oh
can
my
do.
God.
That's why these guys are loyal to me.
I figured, I don't know, maybe you clean your gun that way someday or something. You can put it in a mag block. And
Exactly. That's like I'm saying. That's how I like to clean mine when I do it.
I even like, there's a little cut for the screw head. You know, like,
You see that little cut for the screw head there?
That's nice.
It's almost like it's made for it.
Yeah, and that's where you think about it. If you think about that, or if you've ever manufactured something, designed anything, and then you think about just all the little subtle details I've showed you guys today. You know, if you think about like the fix trigger, and then he shows you the same thing with the latch here. If you put that much thought into that fucking latch on a charging handle, the same guys are doing the entire gun. Yeah. And I don't know, how many times have I told you guys no for money? Ever?
It's been a few years. Remember when we spent all your money?
Oh, that one time?
Back in like
That one time? Yeah.
Wow.
Mind blown again. It
It's
continues.
like it just keeps on stacking.
going, yeah.
It keeps on going, and I'm just. Wow.
That's why it's so easy to support them. It's like if they tell me they can do something, they're generally not right about time frame and budget, but but we're getting better. We're getting better. But you know,
the results are always.
You know, they hit a home run with the fix.
I would add in that we usually end up a little further down the road than we planned. Like,
Yeah,
we always go a little further, so it takes a little longer when you decide.
I think most companies in the industry, if they come up with something novel, they're 5 years ahead. Like the fix is 20 years ahead. Like we're gonna have the conversation in 10 years from now.
you said that.
All these companies will be building a fix. It'll be like, yeah, we fucking know. We knew 20 years ago. That's why we did it.
Yeah.
And you know, what we want to build is that support and trust. Like we want to earn it with the customers. But it's like, I don't know, we talked about the Porsche, the GT3 earlier. Porsche comes out with a new one. I don't even need to do a lot of research. Like, I'll just buy it if that's what I want, because I know it's going to be incredible. And that's what we want to earn, you know, that kind of respect with our customers, is over deliver. And we come out with the boom box, and yeah, it's going to cost like what, I don't know what guns cost, but the SCAR, whatever their thing is, or the H&K 417.
4800, 40.
All these guns you cloners have because it's cool, but you don't use them because they're heavy and it's not really practical. But we're going to deliver something that is, and that you're going to use, and you're going to throw your other guns away, and your LaRue SR25 or whatever, that thing's going in the garbage.
That can go in the garbage.
Yeah, or you put it on Gun Broker.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's our goal. Yeah, and if it's not my favorite gun, then we failed. If these guys don't want to use it when they go hunting, or when they're at the range no one's looking, then they failed. Yeah. So if we do that, then it's just me figuring out how to be as good at marketing as they are at engineering. You know?
I think that's my favorite part, is we make the stuff we want to hunt with. Like, I can't wait to go run around. I mean, I can't wait to run around with a fix in Africa in a month, but boy howdy.
Yeah, boy howdy.
Can't wait for that guy.
Yeah, so we're exporting 2 right now to my place.
You guys ever make a lever gun?
It keeps coming up occasionally.
Because the reason why I say that.
Everybody's been watching Yellowstone. They want
Exactly.
But think about the fixed action and how it rides on those rails, and I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
It'll be a large.
Well, the Browning is super cool, and I love the little Browning 22 because it's just a flick of the fingers. Where it's not, you know, and like people like the Winchester 22, I think it's stupid, or the Marlin, because it's like a full travel, and like you only need this much travel. That's why the Browning was so smart.
There you go.
It's good.
There's your 22.
There's your 22.
Browning did it.
Well, I mean, suppressed with a lever gun's awesome.
Yes, it
An
is.
Yes.
8.6 BLR. And Browning's gun's ugly, actually.
Yeah.
But it is
from the
cool.
80s.
Detachable, yeah, exactly. Chevettes were made then. Detachable mag, and it's a short throw. That's a cool gun. It is.
It's being done. You know, that's the other is like we have to always weigh something against. You know, people are doing that right now. They're doing box fed lever guns.
Yeah.
So you know,
We
do
saw- we
Browning
saw
was
one.
ahead of
It
their
was-
time.
I will say this: the one from Henry was.
Henry's.
Yeah.
got
It was
cool
pretty
one.
impressive.
It's
It really
frame.
was, and they've got a replaceable bolt head
Yep.
inside that you can
It's
switch
using
for
AR.
future AR controls or AR feel to it. So like that was kind of cool. And the guy who did it, Jeff, the engineer, was actually out there shooting at range day, and
Yeah.
it was
He was
good
at
to
the
see
booth.
him to just. He's like, they never really let me out here. I was like, no, this is what this is about. Like, you're supposed to be out here. Like,
Right.
I don't know why you would think that you're not supposed to. So it was good to see that, and I like the thought process there. But y'all can do better.
Yeah, but again, it's like how many resources
I
we got to
know.
pick our projects.
I know you got to
and-
pick your projects, and
It's-
I know.
Yeah, it's like
I just really want to 9mm film.
you know, a little fix in 9mm would be a cool.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
we
I
talked
mean-
about that as well.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool, but it's just again, it's just a toy. If we're gonna make a toy, I don't know. I might want just a 22. I don't know. I think there's still a lot of stuff to be done in future capability to kill bad guys.
And it motivates us.
Yeah. And the transition to, you know, hunting and practical aspect to people that look at, you know, whatever. If you don't want processed meat and you hunt every year and you want to eat clean, like, okay, that's cooler to me than.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
Yeah, there's a million things we could do.
No wonder y'all are separate, so you get to have your whole ordeal and this whole apparatus where it just breeds more of this, and oh, jeez, I'm.
They have to eat that separate from us. It's not the other way around.
Well, yeah, that's it. But it's just crazy. It's when
like-
I see.
I was just thinking, it's like a tactical Disney's Imagineering, you know, just right here. This is it.
Pretension. Yeah.
Wow.
Tactical Imagineering. I love it.
Guys, I am again blown away. I am.
Well, thank you.
I'm
And you should be.
At every turn, it's holy shit. Okay, wait a second.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, wait a second. Whoa. Wow. Seeing that new. That's pretty dope.
We're releasing a YQ tomorrow on why we don't stake castle nuts.
Oh, yeah?
Do you want to tell them your version? We'll see if they're contradictory when my video comes out.
You don't need to.
Huh? Why don't you use it? Or why do people stake them?
I think it makes you feel good. If you ever unbuild a whole bunch of guns, it's real inconvenient.
Right.
But you know, I mean, we did the test.
Mm-hmm.
The test said Loctite and Torque did a better job. So it didn't work as good. Is why we stopped doing it.
Wow.
It's funny. It's like cold forge hammer forge,
Cold forged hammer barrels.
Yeah, whatever.
Time.
Hammer time barrels are better.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the castle nut same way. Like we're not lazy. It's like it costs way more to do all that testing and then know for sure than it does just to keep staking them.
Right.
But if staking's not the right thing, we shouldn't do it just because everybody else does it or it's a mil spec. Like, yeah, okay, it's redundancy because mil spec, like generally they're not using the proper torque or Loctite or whatever.
And we built the fixtures so we can get the torque. Like the big thing is, you know,
Yeah, you can't
receiver
do it.
extension alignment to your receiver, and you start torquing a whole bunch, and then you go to the right every time. So I just made a fixture that, like, we call it the wheeze squeeze. You squeeze your sugar weasel on a couple of toggle clamps, and
Yeah.
then torque the piss out of it.
Yeah. Well, it's like what you said before, you know, when we were talking about things that we've just been okay with because it's legacy or tradition, like the free-floating firing pin giving you the very, very light primer strike if you just send the bullet home, like not being able to put your, you know, gun on safe if the hammer's forward, you know, little things like that. It's like, you were right, like we wouldn't accept these things in a brand new gun today, but just because of what it is, we've allowed it, right? And so Kevin was talking about that earlier. I thought that was pretty funny. And so here you guys are kind of like, well, you know, we're making new guns. You guys are being very innovative, obviously. So let's go ahead and just eliminate some of these issues, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you should throw away everything. You know, like Stoner did so many things correct. Like when you said the B&T 308 gun, it's like every company has made some polymer 308 gun with a side folding stock. Now they all suck. Like, why do you do that? Because you want an extruded receiver and a because it's cheap if you make them in mass. You know, you can mass produce that inexpensively. Well, is it the right thing? Maybe that's better if your concern is a budget and you have a lot more people to arm. But if you want the best gun, it's only the best thing if it's the best thing. Like, you determine what you want, what the requirement is, and then build the best thing to that. You know, and if you want something, if you have a, you know, and it's perfectly acceptable to me if you have a maximum price of $1,000.
Right.
These guys, okay, if that's what we're going to do, then you guys build a thing that we can retail for $1,000. It's not going to be the thing that we can retail for $3,000. It's just not. And so, what's best mean? You know, and just because like whatever government adopts it didn't make it the best thing. Right. It's like their requirement, and then a big part of that requirement is a budgetary constraint.
Right.
And you know, it's like, okay, so I'm not trying to sell to everybody that ever buy a gun. I want the people that want the best gun and can appreciate it.
I feel like like even the boombox, we could have stopped and shipped a product that was awesome a year ago, but
it wasn't the best product.
It's not.
Same
It's not
with
what
that
it is
5.56
today.
can,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
We could have shipped a viable product,
Yeah.
but it isn't as good as this one.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But you know, it's just like the fix. It's going to take the other companies a whole lot longer to catch up to this. Yeah, a lot of companies will probably copy the real estate, or you know, just the size of the gun or something like that. But oh, and you know, Ruger's going to be able to build one for a third that we can. Okay, but if Ruger does all this detail work, Ruger's going to have a gun that you can't sell with the Ruger name. That's the reality. Like I love Ruger, but I love Taurus. That's a price point game. That's not, you know, and both companies have done innovative things and things that I respect and enjoy, but nobody's proud to own a Taurus or a Ruger. I mean, that's just part of what it is, you know. People are proud to own a HK or whatever that stuff, you know, like whatever the current thing is. I don't even know what you kids love now.
Six Spears.
Oh, the old Spear.
Listen, leave me alone, all right?
Beard's badass.
Leave me alone.
It
I
is
don't know.
It's a cool gun when it was CSAS gun, like it was kick-ass.
It was great.
At the time, you know, it was great.
And then that dumbass fucking charging handle on the left-hand side took a complete chunk out of my hand.
How did that happen?
So it was locked back,
Yeah.
and when I went to go do a mag change, I went to go put my hand right there, and it was back. So when I pressed the bolt, it completely went
Thank God.
forward. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you scarred yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Get
done
it?
that with a scar.
Yeah.
One time.
One time.
You know what would fix
You
that?
do it one time.
You know what would fix that?
The new scar?
No, oversized rubber or a hard plastic overmold on that charging handle instead of it being two metal teeth,
Or not having a side.
or it not having a charging handle on that side.
Yeah. Interesting.
Just saying.
Yeah.
What side is the charging handle on the 249?
It's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it had made me think about it. I'm like, wait a minute, I've shot a lot of that with that gun.
Wouldn't that make more
What about
sense?
what about an AK? What about an M1? What about an M14?
Right hand side.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make more sense?
Yeah. I mean,
Hey,
you can
what
take it
am-
off, right?
Maybe.
Mm.
That's the answer. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I like left. I like right.
I like being ambi.
I think no charging handle would be my preference.
Which one?
No charging handle. Yeah.
Like if you could figure, that's where I'm like trying to figure out the real thing. Like you got hit by a charging handle. Taking the charging handle away would solve all your problems.
He's not wrong.
You know, my favorite, so I've got a Stoner 63 and I've got like all the configurations and all the stuff, and I've shot it a ton. And there's at least 3 ways you can, places you can put the charging handle on that gun. And my favorite is right here. That's my favorite. I don't mount a bunch of shit down here. I mean, now it depends on the gun. I put them on tripod to shoot far or whatever, maybe. But that's why it's maybe, you know. And you can mount it back here. You can mount it over here. But that one's I always keep it, that one on the gun. I like it the best.
Arca Swiss rail is the charging handle.
There it is.
Like an air gun.
Wow. Look at these guys ready to go eat.
Hey, I like food. Y'all like food?
Yeah.
Let's go grab some food.
Let's do it.
Man, thank you guys so much for,
I am.
again, just enlightening us, informing us, educating, and also just letting us kind of like, you know, live here for a second and just learn.
And we reserve the right to change our mind about everything we said.
Disclaimer. And we won't even tell you.
Yeah, it'll just happen one day.
Yep. We'll just change.
Yep.
So this is our gun room is in there. So that's what this mural is. So it's a cops raiding a donut shop. And then it's probably a mess, but so it's a real door.
She like that there are 69 varieties. It's very nice.
Yeah, never miss an opportunity. So yeah, this is just like the marketing gun room. So if we go to, you know, go into events, mostly stuff like that. They've got, you know, all the guns in here they can choose from to take. Should be guns and optics. Some guys are out now, so all that stuff's out. But most of the competitor stuff will be in engineering. Oh, there's another camo that we did, one in Woodland.
See a little MP7 over there?
Yeah, MP7, MP5, MP5 SD.
Huh.
So
That's cool.
Excuse me.
yeah,
Sorry. It's been a while.
yeah, and MP7 is those are. So we replaced. So for the group that was using those primarily, they had the B&T silencers, and we replaced the silencers on them years ago with that silencer.
Why could they never fix the bolt balance or the balance of the charging handle in the back?
They didn't put effort into it like little Mitch did on the boombox.
I mean, you see the effort he's put into that. Good lord.
That's a cool gun. I mean, that and the G36 are the 2 most reliable guns they've ever built.
Right. Not only do they make, you know, automated equipment for your testing, they also make optics.
Man, if you can figure out how to use that optic, that thing is.
It's ancient.
It's crazy. Like, just there's only one button and it does a whole bunch of things. It's difficult to use.
John, do you know what this is?
I don't think so, actually.
Wow.
Shit.
I hear you. It just showed your age.
Well, what is it then?
The MP7, bro.
Something that you'll never be able to obtain.
Mm-hmm. Unobtainium, as they say.
But see, hold on. Notice something?
But plastic.
The rail, man.
Yeah.
Screwed on.
Similar to
Oh, okay.
Right.
So that's what you're saying.
this thing. I
Yeah,
still,
makes sense.
my hand can never. I can never reload this fucker because it would always pinch.
40 round mags.
I don't have that
You don't need to
problem.
reload with that.
That rate of fire
It's
sometimes.
a cool concept, but you know, it's another one of those things where does it make sense? You know, like the Mark 23, like the suppressor.
Yeah. Legacy stuff. Man.
Hey, you know, I'd love to see a QP7. Just throwing it out there, you know what I'm saying?
You know, the thing is, people say like, "Oh, Q do an AK or a,
Yeah.
or a P7," but like, what's the? If you want a P7, HK did a great job. I mean, I think.
Well, that's just it. I want
wasn't-
one, but
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I don't know, some cloner company could do it, but
Tommy built. Where you at? Hashtag.
Yeah, but look, he got in trouble for that shit, man.
Did he?
Like he got when it first, because that's not the first time he ever tried to do the MP7, the first rendition, he got HK like sent him a cease and desist letter
Damn it, HK.
for what it was.
Just give the people what they want,
No
and
sense of humor.
we won't do that, you know.
Germany? Really?
Well, I think there's a lot to it. It's not just HK not wanting to do it, which I think is true because, you know, they only like you if you're German. But, you know, German law and stuff with exporting things, and then, I don't know. It's one of those things too where I thought 500 people would want honey badgers. I was wrong. Like, people say they want MP7, but would they pay for it?
Right.
Like, I don't know how many actually would. Oh, we're about to come out with black sugar weasels, so we don't really do black guns. There's one on the shelf.
That was another question I did say is like, you guys, well, does it come in black?
Yeah, so, you know, the company's grown a lot now. Our production capabilities have really increased. And, you know, still 95% of ARs sold are black.
Right.
And
You don't say.
yeah, so that one, I think we start shipping them next month.
That's dope.
Yeah, and so you still get all the features. It's got the radiant stuff. I think those are going to have 1 in 5 twist barrels. They have the adjustable gas block, the jam nut gas block, stainless match barrel, the 2-piece flash hider, our trigger, which is probably worth buying the gun just for that. But still under 6 pounds.
Depending on when this video comes out, next month would be April. Yeah.
Eyebox on the attacker is still the eyebox on the attacker.
Yeah.
The iBox, people, like, I love a 1 to 10 optic, for instance, but
Right.
yeah, when you start doing that stuff, the iBox all gets weird.
Yeah.
That's where we'll pull those Mark 5s are such a sweet spot, just
Yes.
a 5X
But
erector.
see, the Mark 6 was my favorite, but now you can't even
The
get those
iBox
commercial.
on that sucked.
Really?
The 1 to 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would shoot it, the iBox was so small, everybody thought the red dot was shutting off. It's just that you're coming out of the iBox.
Oh, wow.
So that was a problem with those. But yeah, the optic itself, the 3 to 18 and that 1 to 6 were incredible. Yeah, 3 to 18 is still one of my favorite optics.
Can't even get them now.
No?
They're all being fulfilled for contract. Loophole does
Those are
that.
expensive too.
Yeah.
But truthfully, the Mark 5 may be even better scope. It might be.
That's exactly what I was saying. Just get yourself a little wrap.
That's pretty dope. Like the black one.
Yeah, black, and we're doing, I think, a gray as well. But I'm anxious to see, you know, because for me, here's how I looked at it. You know, it's cool that the Honey Badger, our color scheme with just the clear anodized, it stands out. And now people, other companies, are painting their guns to try to look like it, which is like, it's cool, whatever. But I went into one of our really good dealers, and you know, what I noticed with us is we have 2 or 3 spots on the wall. We have a Honey Badger, we have a fix, maybe there's a mini fix. Daniel Defense has 12 because they have all these different colors and all this stuff. And so I hate thinking like this, but from a retail perspective, it's like, well, Daniel Defense is getting, you know, 4 times the space in the store as we are.
Right.
And it's like, well, maybe there is, you know, like doing the ARs. I think we build the best. I mean, to me, it's an entry level AR, but it's still probably, I mean, you're not going to buy anything with any more features close to $2,000. So I'm like, well, maybe there is a reason to do it in other colors. Like if we can produce this many now, we've grown production, we can produce this many at this quality. Okay, 95% of them sold are black. Why don't we try a black gun and see what it'll do? And I don't know, it might not work for our company.
It will. What?
I mean, maybe, we'll see. I mean, I predict that it will, but I think we're more able to sell, you know, we're known for the clear anodize and stuff. And then doing a gray, and can we take up more real estate within the gun stores for free, basically?
So like that, this to me looks like really dope. Like obviously the attacker's great, but to see like the vortex on here, that color contrast, that'd be sick.
Yeah, but you know, the attention will pay. So when we want to do, so there's 3 or 4 color schemes and things that we're working on.
Right.
But I make them build guns for me to see now, and it's amazing how small details, like the selector on that gun, So we ordered black ones, and I tried the black, but I liked the little touch of this, you know, the clear anodized selector.
Right.
And most people wanted a black barrel nut, and we built it with a black barrel nut, and I ended up liking the clear anodized barrel nut because you can see it through there.
Yeah.
And so there's some like excuse me, minutia to it that if you don't know till you build them all out. Like we just did I approved a gray gun, and I thought in all gray it would look great. I didn't like it that much, and so it's got a lot of black on it now, because what I found is the grays don't match, like from the plastic to the anodized to the different types of aluminum that are anodized, and it looks strange. It looked weird. It didn't look good. And I wouldn't have known it without seeing it in person.
Could embrace that, like Finn has embraced, you know, the 50 Shades of FDE. You could become the 50 Shades of Gray.
Well, I think it has to do with tone. Like if you have grays with like a green tone and a blue tone, and it's and then doing it under fluorescence is terrible.
But see, when I look through this, you know what makes me think of, like, you know how you look through, you see a high performance vehicle, and the 6-piston, you know, brake calipers.
I was gonna say,
through. That's how it
that's
how it draws my attention. So I'm like, okay, cool, this is dope. It reminds me of performance, like right off the bat.
So another question that's coming to my mind, when you think about entry-level AR, the price point of the Sugar Weasel, then you start getting into some more of the things like the Honey Badger and all that type of stuff. Something that you see common around that price point are ambidextrous controls. Is that something that you guys would think about, or is it one of those things where it's like, meh, it's not really necessary?
I don't like ambi controls. The selector is okay. The charging handle to me is okay. I still, for my personal gun, would probably rather not have an ambi charging handle. But I think we're going to end up with 3 lines of ARs. So we have the line that we have now, the Sugar Weasels. And then we're coming out with one that's a little more premium. It'll have the QERT handguard and some other features. And that'll be a more premium line. And then the, you know, pulling out all the stops line, the top of the line, will probably have ambi controls, because who it's sort of geared towards, but it'll also have QERT top rail with the 1913 on top, and it'll have all the stuff. But no, I think people don't think about, I love when people say, oh, you know, 2024, they don't even have ambi. It's like, okay, so you want us to put more parts, more failure points, and make your gun heavier and weaker.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, I think it's like, yeah, you're really fighting with your gun. You're gonna tell me, oh, what if your strong hand goes down, or like whatever, okay.
See, I just like a really good ambi bolt release. I just like a
don't.
really good
I
one.
hate it.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I say
yeah.
that, but I have to train myself every time I start running one. I have to remember, okay, I don't need to hit that bolt release with my thumb.
But see, here's the thing. We had this discussion the other day. I find myself fumbling around for the fucking thing, like on the side, because nobody makes a good enough button. The SIG one, looks like you're throwing up fucking gang signs every time you try to lock that bolt back. I don't give a shit how big or how small your hand is.
What about just sending the bolt home though? Like it's just on a reload?
It's too hard to do. It's not enough leverage on it, then you start making the thing fucking protrude out. So like, what do you really gain from that?
Right.
What you gain is a failure point, or you drop it when you don't want, or you hold it open when you don't want to.
Correct. When you come on this side, you know what you're doing. It is what it is. I'm quick as shit with a reload on that side. I don't need to complicate it anymore. Now, I will say this. I don't like to use it as a bolt hold open. If somebody can just make a button where I can just literally in the natural way that I hold a fucking gun all the time, and I just put a little pressure right there, boom. Just like that. And
CZ Bren.
No, okay, so the CZ Bren one is in the mag well. I don't like that.
The trigger guard.
Or trigger guard, whatever.
It's not good to put them in the trigger guard.
The only one that I've seen that actually is kind of cool and it kind of makes sense is that Geisley one, where I'm pretty sure that happened on accident, when the guy just said, oh shit, my finger came up to the dust cover, and it just helped me pull it back and lock it back. That was actually okay.
I do like ADM, so we'll say that up. ADM.
Well, how many, so like these are always big Army requirements, the ambi stuff now. I mean, how many tier 1 groups require ambi guns?
Well, they do like some of those 416s that are that new the one that we saw at shot, that HK 11 and a half 416, that was pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make ambi look really cool doing a Grand Thumb video. That's cool. And I like him. I mean, he can shoot, but it's like we can also take that gun and do a video in our lab and on the range here and testing where we can 100% convince you not to have an ambi gun. Because those parts are weak, the gun's not designed for it. You make the receiver weak, you're adding springs and things that can lock your gun open or closed. And so if you, I mean, I can't imagine if Eugene's son over here and you ask him about it, but there's a reason like the guys that really do tons of testing and really shoot people and rely on the guns don't give a fuck about ambi.
They stick to their shit.
It's cool in an Instagram video, but yeah, I mean, you make things bigger, heavier, weaker, and more points of failure. And that's what I was telling you when we were doing some testing on their high-speed video, and the dust cover spring broke, and it's flopping around, and it flops up and knocks empty case back into the chamber, or keeps it in the chamber and induced a malfunction. Like, yeah, you know, you don't think about that when you're thinking all this other stuff, but when we do all that stuff in real testing, everything you do to modify that gun, it's like changing the mag for 6-arc, changing the bolt. Like, the guns get weaker and less reliable. And you're gonna say, oh, I built 6-arc, it works fine. Sure it does. Like, build 1,000 of them. You know, it's like, yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a different approach, and I think it's just ignorance with the consumer. Yeah, if you could do everything with both hands, sure, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, but what if now, you know, you can bump the gun on something?
Right, that's my only concern with a lot of the ambi stuff, like the ambi mag releases and everything, which again, I don't mind them, you know, but that is one thing. It's like you're running gear, you got all this other stuff, plate carrier, mags, everything else. Like, I'm just waiting for the one day I'm just walking along and the next thing you know, my mag goes crazy and I'm like, wait a minute now.
Well, you think minor little things, like I like, what's that kid's name? Edgar Sherman. He's got a nice sling, and he did this nice rubber tab that sticks out, and you can grab it anywhere. Also, I jumped out of a Land Cruiser, and it grabbed my Land Cruiser, the door thing.
Yeah.
Jumped out and about threw me on the ground, about pulled the gun off of me. And so I don't use those anymore because that happened to me and I never would have thought about it. So I like just the low profile slide on it. It never gets caught on anything. I have to train myself to grab, but now I do it without even thinking.
Yeah.
But, you know, I would have thought that was a really good idea, having that big loop on the sling so you can grab. Well, yeah, you can grab it easy and so can everything else.
Right.
So just like little things like that when you get into using a gun. So, I mean, I think for us right now, there are plans to do ambi for this kind of like a top of the line AR, but it, you know, that'll be geared towards like federal agencies and stuff like that, and they'll want it. Me personally, I wouldn't put it on my gun, but there is a segment of the market that demands that and wants it. So we'll do it, but we'll do the best we can that has the, you know, the best likelihood of not causing or inducing any sort of malfunction.
Right.
But, you know, you're going to make the gun heavier and weaker. It's just the way it is.
Right. I can do with a ambi mag release. I don't give a shit about the bolt.
Have you seen ours? Like we did we'll have to find it on a gun. But it's, we really did it because the bolt hold open. No, that's not it. It's not balanced very well. So when you start shooting full auto, when we did full auto testing for the trigger under high-speed video, you see this thing is bouncing all over the place. And we also have high-speed video of this inducing a malfunction. Holding the bolt open with rounds in the mags.
Okay.
It happens more on lighter weight guns.
Yeah.
And so we saw that happen. We thought it was a mag issue. Change the mags, again, we do it. And then what we realize is this isn't balanced. So ours is called a balanced bolt catch. And we have them, we'll take a video on some guns in the back. And the reason there's a pad down here is to balance that so it doesn't flop around when you're shooting full auto.
Oh, interesting. Because I've seen the pad. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but that's the reason we did it.
Okay.
And so the gun's actually more reliable, but it's just because that was the least balanced part of the entire gun.
Yeah, that part?
Yeah, so this is the one that we did.
Yeah, okay.
So now it's balanced so it doesn't flop around when you shoot.
But it's also got a dual roll to it because you can still actually see it's a larger surface area as well. So that's neat that it's,
It's nice when you can do two things with one thing.
Dope.
Yeah.
Sweet. I like the donut shop, man.
Yeah. again, try not to do anything on accident. Look good, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does look clean. I like that a lot.
Look at that.
I like the touch of orange too. That just gives it that aesthetic.
Yeah, Corey from Sup Def, he picked it all out, what he wanted. And he did it with him, that's his logo.
He looks funny as shit, man.
Yeah, he's funny. He's good. Yeah, we've done a couple cool guns with him. I think we're working on one now. I don't even remember what it is. But he generally comes up with a pretty good idea. He's got a good eye.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Another room I could just spend all day in, just, you know.
Fortnite podcast.
So, that MP7 though, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, Q's awesome. There's a lot of cool stuff here that is a lot more practical probably, but that MP7, freaking HK.
When we had our podcast with Kevin, my mind was blown. Seeing this facility, somehow my mind has become even more blown.
It's a black hole of knowledge over here, guys.
Knowledge, information, and innovation.
Yeah.
Q, again, you know, one of the reasons why the Honey Badger originally didn't make my top 5, I was like, it's so expensive. Why, when so many other companies were pretty much doing the same thing, right? And then that was just ignorance. Coming into this facility and starting to learn now, and then having a conversation with Kevin about it, you realize really quick, they're not the same. You can't do just as good. I'm sorry, it's not gonna work here. And after visiting Q here in New Hampshire, it's like, I mean, this is right here what has ended a lot of terrorists and ultimately replaced the MP5. Yeah. And this is something that, again, you just, it's amazing, honestly. This is gonna be my home defense gun.
This place is amazing.
I
truly mean that.
It is, and the people here, everybody are just, they're excited about their job. Yeah. They're over there taking passion in it. They're prideful in it. And they're just like, oh, here, come check this out. Look what we're doing. Hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm doing this. And it's just like, this is truly awesome. This is definitely probably the best factory tour that I haven't been on a whole lot of them, but definitely the best so far.
Yeah, so.